yes, sir. Then again I'm falling. Let Jesus work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Oh, work it out. You work it out for Mother Teresa. Sometimes I'm gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes, sir. Then again I'm falling. Sometimes I'm gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes, sir. Then again I'm falling. Let Jesus work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Oh, work it out. You work it out for Mother Teresa.
All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. David Patrick Harry with Church of the Eternal Logos. And I got to say, we finally did it. We finally did it. Today is the celebration of 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. Boy, has it been a long journey. So today we're going to be doing a little bit of a celebration on the fact that we finally hit a milestone that, one, I will say I was naively believed that I'd probably hit a little bit earlier. You guys know my previous YouTube channel that promoted psychedelics. It was titled Fractal Universe, spelled Youniverse. And that was me taking audios of Terrence McKenna, Timothy Leary, Robert Anton Wilson, Alan Watts, whoever it may be, and adding graphics, visual graphics and stuff that people could watch. And as I told you guys, I almost got to 100,000. It was like 92, 94,000 when I took all my videos down. And so I'd never reached the 100K level. And I thought when I created this YouTube channel, now I was living in Berkeley, California at the time. I had taken a PhD course in Eastern Orthodox history and theology. And I had become very interested. At the first time I posted a video on here, I wasn't even Orthodox yet, Church of the Eternal Logos. I was fascinated with Orthodox theology, though. And within a very quick time, just really a couple months, and it was not even intended to be like a regular thing. I was just posting kind of my own thoughts on Gnosticism, the Nag Hammadi corpus, or whatever it may be, stuff like that. And then eventually going to Orthodox churches, I converted to Orthodoxy. And then I told you guys the last time I ever did psychedelics, went to an ayahuasca ceremony, and something that had never, ever happened before using psychedelics is I had done 3 cups of ayahuasca. I was in a full-blown hallucination in which what I believed was I needed to stop doing that stuff, and it was time for me to become a man and stop reproducing other people's ideas and content and actually produce my own ideas, produce my own thoughts on topics, discussions, intellectual explanations on things. And that was then the next month I took my life savings. I moved out of California. I moved back to Indiana, lived with my parents, and for 8 months began putting out content regularly on this YouTube channel. That's how this YouTube channel started. And so from that continual period, let's see, essentially from the beginning of 2020, the end of 2019, was basically putting content on this YouTube channel at least 2 to 3 times a week. There's only a couple weeks that I haven't done that in that, I guess now over 6-year period. Finally, guys, we made it to 50K subscribers. I can't tell you how happy I am, how liberated. I feel like this was a huge milestone. For me, it was 10,000, 25,000, and 50,000. And then it's 100,000, like the milestones. And so for me, I'm just so grateful to you guys for being here, watching these streams. Obviously, today we got so much drama to get into. I mean, I pulled as much as I could regarding all the Epstein stuff going on. So much to cover. And some other news that I thought was worthwhile. So I figured no better way to celebrate a 50K sub party than diving into the released documents of Jeffrey Epstein. Something we've been talking, again, for that whole over 6-year period, putting content out. We've always been talking about Epstein and Pedo Island and the satanic elite and all this stuff. Well, now it feels like we're finally vindicated. And so it's very apropos that would be the 50K sub. So I just want to tell you guys, everybody who regularly watches my content, I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. I can't tell you legitimately how appreciative I am. This YouTube channel was my decision to try to create a platform in which I could essentially do graduate level educational content, but not be beholden to a university. And I'll tell you, it's been a little bit slower growing than I was hoping for, but I'm telling you guys, I am so grateful to anyone who watches my channel regularly. All the people, the same faces I see in the chat, Snagglebeast, RIP, Vigo, Crispy, Caravaggio, CP6 UJA. I know that's Russian. I'm not going to pronounce it, but Mojo Matsi, all you guys, like legitimately, Rogue Renaissance, seen you guys, Moldy Apple, like seriously, Crispy, Kristen. I love you guys. Thank you all so freaking much for supporting me. And, now it's on to bigger and better things. Just this past week, did you guys see Andrew Wilson on Joe Rogan? So, I don't know. I watched a little bit of Andrew's video where he was recapping, going on to Joe Rogan podcast. Man, I know Andrew from when The Crucible was a very, very small YouTube channel. And he told me what his plan was with these debates and going after the degens and his abrasive style and what he was expecting and the team that he put together. I mean, this was really early in the age of the Crucible. And I went on there and did debates and streams with Andrew, and we built a really good friendship. I had known Rachel before Andrew, actually, because she was more active in the orthosphere, if you will, doing content. So I knew Rachel, and she's like, you got to meet my husband. And then once we did, Andrew and I kicked it off. But A week before he went on Rogan, he actually called me and we chatted, and he told me that he was invited. So I didn't tell anybody, but I saw his recap. Somebody on his team leaked it because apparently it got out on X that he was going on Rogan. It was not me. I know that it was not me. Man, that is so cool, dude. That is so cool to see a friend, the success he's had, how the Crucible's blown up, how Andrew's gone totally mainstream. We were talking about Fuentes going mainstream. Well, Andrew's mainstream now. And to see him be on Joe Rogan, again, he already told me he was going, so I was really excited to see. In fact, spoiler alert, Rachel and I were actually messaging while they were recording that episode because she was in a room, sent me a photo of where her watch room was. So it's essentially watching the podcast live. And man, I just feel so proud, so excited for him. And it's really motivated me to just, step on the gas pedal. Let's go. Let's build these, build our online profile, build our businesses, build our families, build ourselves. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Major shout out to Andrew and the Crucible crew. It's just really cool to see everything come to fruition. And so, yeah, that was probably, I don't have any clips today of Andrew though. So today's drama alerts, mostly going to be oriented around Epstein and some of the latest news. But, yeah, just really cool to see. Josiah Elleron throws in 20. Thank you so much, Josiah. He says, so excited that I will get to see you at Montanica this year. Well, glory to God, Josiah. I'm glad that you'll be going. Yeah, I'll be at Montanica. I'm really excited to go back to Montanica. Of course, that Father Dr. Ananias, I was not in attendance last year, was not invited. But, no, I'm kidding. But I honestly so glad to go back. Montanaca is a lot of fun. Anybody out there who would be interested in going to Montanaca, we got a great lineup this year. It's first week of June, 2026. And, yeah, just excited to get back out there. So it's good to see you, Josiah. I look forward to chatting up and catching up with you out there. Christopher Scott throws in 5, no comment. Thank you so much, Christopher. God bless you, brother. Thank you for all the support. My brother Chase Haggard throws in 2. Congrats, brother. See you soon, I think. Yeah, that's the rumor. I'm supposed to be down there soon, but weather has not permitted. But Chase, God bless you, brother. I appreciate your friendship, man. I hope you and the old lady are doing well in Texas. God bless you, brother. God bless you, man. I really appreciate your friendship. Thanks for the support. Bitter Klinger throws in 5, says, congrats on 50K, brother. The finest Orthodox podcaster on YouTube. Well, I appreciate that, Bitter Klinger. I know there's opinions range in the orthosphere, but I do appreciate those charitable words. The finest Orthodox podcaster on YouTube. I do appreciate that. Hopefully, I do give some credence to that. My goal is that the content continues to improve and get a little bit better, but thank you so much, Bitter Klinger. Really appreciate you. Gorilla Biscuit gifted a Codal Crew membership. Thank you so much, Gorilla Biscuit. Gifted a Codal Crew membership. Randall throws in 5, says, when are we going to get Jay on JRE to talk esoteric Hollywood and Orthodoxy? I think Rogan would love the esoteric Hollywood stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I think, a handful of us. I would love to go on Rogan and talk about transhumanism with him because I know that is a topic. One, he's had so many people come on to speak glowingly or a little bit more optimistically and positively about transhumanism and technology. I would love to have the opportunity to talk with Joe from a critical perspective, from a traditional Christian perspective, just have a conversation and see how these worldviews actually line up and the paradigmatic tension that exists between them. But that would be a lot of fun. Shout out to Austin DeTulio. God bless you, brother. Another gentleman I was able to meet down in Nashville, actually, with Andrew and the Crucible crew. He says, congratulations, brother. Thank you very much, Austin. God bless you, man. I hope you're doing well. And Snagglebeast throws in 5. God bless you, man. He says, it's only up from here. Can't stop, won't stop. Amen to that. Amen to that. Yeah, no plan on stopping anytime soon. That's for sure. In fact, this Thursday, so last night we just had a men's group meeting over at the Logos Academy where we spent roughly 3 hours talking about finances, investments. This isn't the war room of Andrew Tate or anything, right? We're not doing get-rich-quick schemes or telling you which cryptos to invest in or meme coins. No. We were actually speaking with gentlemen that were very knowledgeable about the financial system and looking at, like, if you have, because we're all in a similar boat, and a lot of us don't have tons of extra cash floating around. So if you have 10K, what's the best way to use 10K to make more money? So we were talking about stuff like that, and that conversation is recorded. It'll be up on the Logos Academy this evening. And if you're interested, we are going over Chapter 5, The Enlightenment Part 2, this Wednesday, tomorrow night, over at the Logos Academy. So if you're interested in joining us on our discussion on the Orthodox Survival Course by Father Seraphim Rose, please do so. It's easy to catch up. All the sessions are recorded. It's really a read-along, so if you can catch up and read up to Chapter 5, you'll be caught up with everybody else. You can join us in our private men's discussion. So check that out if you guys are interested. But yeah, a lot of stuff going on. Only up from here, Snagglebeast. Only up from here. Well, why don't we go ahead and start getting into some of the new stuff, and I'll tell you, we got so much Epstein stuff, dude. Did you guys check out the Steve Bannon interview with Jeff Epstein? You guys know what I'm talking about? Did you guys check any of that out? It's actually a pretty insight. Here is the actual interview. It's the full thing is up on YouTube. It's on X. It's on all the social media. I thought YouTube probably pull it down. They did not. There's tons and tons of YouTube channels that have the full thing. It's an hour 57. And I'm going to play you guys a little bit of what I found to be the most interesting of the interview, because one of the things that becomes apparent listening to Epstein chat is, one, he viewed himself as an intellectual, no doubt. People are wondering, how does he get in touch with the highest echelon of academia and physics, mathematics, science, economics? All these Harvard professors, all these Ivy League professors going to Epstein Island. How did this happen? Well, it happened because Epstein himself viewed himself as essentially a savant, an economic savant. And he has these weird, he believes that the world is a simulation. He believes in souls, for example. So he's very critical of materialistic science, right? Something you would not expect to hear from Jeffrey Epstein. Turns out the guy is not super thrilled with the limiting worldview of materialistic science, and he believes in the existence of a soul, which will connect with some of the stuff that I actually want to show you guys today, because in some of the emails, they actually talk about the special features of the Jewish soul compared to the Goyim. Goyim is referenced so many times in the Epstein files, which is very interesting for everyone who told us that, the religious, ethnic side of Epstein has no bearing on anything whatsoever. Turns out that doesn't seem to be the case. So, weird stuff. So he believes in a soul, and he's all into like the simulation, but quantum mysticism, like utilizing quantum physics as a sort of explanatory worldview for, I guess, almost moving into a world of ether, this idea of souls. So there's so much to get into. And one of the things that's also starting, the point that I have the video frozen at right here, is that Epstein is asked by Steve Bannon, and we're going to get into the Steve Bannon stuff because I'm not even sure how to view Steve Bannon, because the interview that he's having with him is after Epstein had already been arrested for sexual abuse against young girls. So Steve can't say he didn't know what Epstein was going on, but when you start looking at some of the text messages and emails, it seems like they had a very friendly relationship. But one of the things that I want to show you guys, what I'll be playing right here in this video, is that Epstein so Bannon was asking him about the 2008 financial collapse. And where was he when he heard about Lehman Brothers going under and Bear Stearns and all this stuff? And he said, I was actually in prison. I was in jail at the time. And he goes, what? You're in jail at the time? And the questions throughout this interview, what they're asking, Steve Bannon's like kind of building him up, hyping him up as like the ultimate financial guy. He knows the alchemy of high finance. and stuff like that. And asked him, oh my gosh, so you were in jail during that. Well, what did you think? And then he talks about how he took his call and called the head of Lehman Brothers, then the head of Bear Stearns, the head of JP Morgan. And he's kind of joking about how he was able to make these high profile connections while he's sitting in a jail cell. And Steve Bannon's like, during all this, did you have any sort of reflection? Like, how did I get here? Like, did I do something wrong? Why is it that I'm sitting in a jail cell right now and I'm not able to, deal with the fact that the largest financial collapse in his lifetime is occurring? And he's like, nope, never thought about it. I thought it was really interesting. And so, and Bannon's so caught off guard. He keeps asking him, what? So you never reflected? You never thought why I'm here? He's like, nope. And you see that Epstein really has no sense of guilt, right? I mean, the stuff that we're going to be looking at today, FYI, today's 50K sub-party stream is not for children. So I know some people have messaged me that they watch some of the educational streams with their, with their children that are like 8, 12 years old. Don't recommend that today. Some of the topics that we're going to be getting in, complex system. Somebody's watched the interview. No, he talks about complex systems over and over and over and over again. But it's apparent that Epstein has like no sense of guilt. And we have stuff today, like there's former people who worked for him that are claiming that at the Zorro Ranch, I believe that's the New Mexico ranch, that he knows exactly where 2 girls, their bodies were buried because Epstein strangled them to death while having intercourse. We know Robin Leach, the famous guy from, the Lives of the Wealthy, the British guy that, goes to different elites, like the Virgin Mobile guy's island. I forget his name. It's not, I don't know. Anyway, the Virgin Mobile guy, Robin Leach is in the Epstein emails, and apparently he was witnessed to have strangled a girl to death while having coitus. Pretty wild stuff. Yeah, Richard Branson, thank you. Richard Branson, thank you, AC. Yeah, I couldn't remember his name. But Robin Leach is in the Epstein files, apparently with concrete evidence that he was watched by other people who corroborated that he choked a girl to death. I mean, wild stuff. Jay-Z has apparently fled the country. That's a rumor. Don't know for a fact, but that's all over social media. So we have a lot to get into. I was going to begin with some less spicy kind of news. The first one being, shout out to all my Canadians that are in Alberta. Sounds like Albertans are leaving Canada, and it's pretty much official at this point. Jay-Z fans. That's hilarious. Pretty much. Andre Lopez throws in 5, says, your video was the first I watched on Tag. Thank you. Congratulations on 50K. God bless. Well, thank you very much, Andre. God bless you. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, B. Sirach, for the 5 gifted Coda Crew memberships. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. So anybody who's in Canada, you can feel free to give me a little bit more context. I have not been following this story very closely. I do know that Albertans actually did a collective vote to secede from Canada. And Alberta, in particular, has access to the Northern Pipeline, right, to the Arctic. So strategically, it's very important. It has great natural resources. And according to this gentleman here, who is the lawyer representing Jeff Rath, he confirms that the Albertans have been having conversations with the Trump administration and that the Trump administration is ready to acknowledge Alberta when it secedes from Canada as its own unique country, which is ginormous because that means Canada won't be able to essentially do shit about it. Because if the United States says, oh, Alberta's its own country now, sorry, Canada, you guys no longer own it or can control it, what's Canada going to do? They're going to deploy their military? What are they going to do? So this is actually really big news because one of the things that Jeff Rath mentions over and over is that this is an opportunity to actually build a northern pipeline that we've been talking about for, how many decades now, this pipeline from Canada through North Dakota, into the United States through Montana, wherever it may go. Well, it sounds like that might actually be a possibility now. So I'm going to play you just a couple things because the Canadian media is just shocked. They really don't think this is going to happen. And the lawyer is here to tell them, no, we are in talk with the Trump administration. The United States is going to recognize us when we leave Canada. It's not an if, it's a when. We've already voted. We've already said we're leaving Canada. And it's like this Canadian reporter here. I don't think they actually believe it.
And how on the face of it, Canadians would view, some Canadians outside of the ones that support your cause, who are not necessarily unempathetic to the frustrations expressed by people in this province, but who would view the idea of, people here meeting with a government that has, spoken the way it has about this country as a whole as problematic and seeking money to make this happen.
I understand that there's a lot of Ontarians and people in Quebec that suffer deeply from Trump derangement syndrome, but we're not doing anything untoward. It's absolutely, from our perspective, we're just conducting due diligence on behalf of our fellow Albertans. We're serious professionals. I mean, I've argued cases at the Supreme Court of Canada, for goodness sake. I mean, we take what we're doing very seriously, and obviously the attitude of the United States towards Alberta independence, which incidentally is overwhelmingly enthusiastic, is something that informs our movement going forward. If the United States said, oh God, we can't tolerate that, flies in the face of, the communist New World Order, we'll slap a 300% tariff on Albertans if they leave because we want you to remain resource slaves of the communist government in Ottawa, it would be a totally different conversation. But that's not the case. We're gratified that it's the case. And quite frankly, the Trump administration shows Albertans far more respect than is shown to Albertans by the government in Ottawa. Do you think three of us could get a meeting with Tim Hodgson to talk about the need for a pipeline to the Pacific Northwest so that David Eby can't continue to hold us hostage? Of course not, because they want us to be held hostage. So, so I understand that there are Canadians that are upset, especially in Ontario, that when Alberta leaves, that Ontarians for the first time in their lives are going to have to pay their own bills and pay the bills of the Maritimes that we've been paying for years. I understand that's upsetting to people, but they need to understand that Albertans are done, we're leaving, and there's no more conversation to be had. I know that's upsetting to people.
Do you believe, though, that the...
So it goes on. We're not going to play the whole thing. There's way too much to get into today. But keep an eye on this story because this is really interesting. If Alberta, as this Jeff Roth claims, will be seceding from Canada, whether they like it or not, in Ottawa, well, that's huge. One, there's going to be a new country now up north. There's going to be Alberta and Canada. And the partnership regarding natural resources with the United States is ginormous. We've already basically, Trump got his deal with Greenland. He did the art of the deal. We talked about this last Drama Alert. You say what you want is up here when really what you want is down here. Denmark, the EU freaks out. We talked about the last Davos meeting. They think the U.S. is going to invade Greenland. And then they just say, okay, U.S., you can have all mineral rights. You can build your military bases wherever you want. And Russia and China can no longer have anything to do with Greenland. And it's like, well, that's what Trump wanted the whole time. So he got what he wanted regarding Greenland and all those resources, but now with Alberta, I mean, this is a serious thing. And I see some people in the chat here that are Albertans. They said it's a huge number of Orthodox Christian converts in Alberta. And someone was asking, is it filled with Indians? From my understanding, Alberta is not a migrant destination. It's mostly Toronto, British Columbia, stuff like that. But from my understanding, I don't know of Alberta being filled with as many it's a little bit more difficult. It's cold there, It's not as so awesome for that. Awesome for that. Let's see what the next story is here. Oh, well, we can't have a drama alert without talking about the Indians. How many times have we talked about Indian fraud? I just wanted to share this one with you guys. Neon White Rabbit says, you may live to see man-made horrors beyond your comprehension. Pregnant goat dies after being gang raped by 8 men in India. So, how many videos do we watch on, these Instagram, TikTok girls talking about going on their, eat, pray, love spiritual trip to India and then complaining about being sexually harassed wherever they go? Well, Apparently, even the goats aren't safe in India. So even the goats aren't safe. So sad to hear about that one right there. Oh, we just get a shout out to Rachel. Oh my gosh, Rachel Wilson just gifted 20 Codal Crew memberships. Rachel, thank you so much. God bless you, sister. God bless you. I was just talking about Andrew's appearance on JRE and just chatting with you and just seeing everything that's going on is just so amazing. So thank you so much, sister, for the support. Really appreciate that. She said, congratulations on 50K. See you soon. Big things coming. Glory to God. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm excited. I'm not going to say what Andrew's got up his sleeves, but I was supposed to go, 2 weeks ago down to Texas, and then it was this past weekend. It keeps getting delayed, but be going down to Dallas to spend some time with the Wilsons and, work on a new project that Andrew's got cooking up. So really excited. God bless you, Rachel. Thank you so much. God bless the Wilsons. Really appreciate that support. So, yeah, Indians doing Indian things. Next one is authorities. This was today. So this was breaking news today. I don't know if you guys caught this, but Jill Biden, her ex-husband, so the man that she married before Joe, apparently killed his wife. So I'm just going to play it for you.
A man believed to be former First Lady Jill Biden's ex-husband has been charged with murder. He's accused of killing his wife. Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel has the latest on this. Mike.
Harris, 77-year-old William Stevenson was arrested yesterday and charged in connection with the death of 64-year-old Linda Stevenson on December 28th. There are reports William Stevenson is the ex-husband of former First Lady Jill Biden, but Fox has not independently confirmed that. The Newcastle, Delaware Police Department telling us, quote, will not be providing any additional comment regarding this incident when asked if they can confirm the connection to Dr. Biden. The charge in this case is first-degree murder. William Stevenson has been arraigned and is being held in the Howard County Correctional Institution after failing to post a $500,000 cash bail. Delaware authorities say local police responded to a reported domestic dispute on Sunday, December 28th at 11:16 p.m. Investigators say they found Linda Stevenson unresponsive in the living room. Officers immediately tried life-saving measures, but she was later pronounced dead. The woman's body has been turned over to the Delaware Medical Examiner, where an autopsy was expected to be conducted to determine the cause and manner of her death. Obviously, breaking details in this case, an arrest just made yesterday. We are digging into the facts of it and still trying to firm up the link between this man and former First Lady Jill Biden.
A man.
So pretty wild stuff. It doesn't seem to be uncommon in the Democratic Party. Remember what happened with Pelosi's husband when what appeared to be a potential gay lover. Remember when he almost killed him in his home when the police arrived? But wow. So Jill Biden's ex-husband killed his current wife. Joe Biden does make an appearance in the Epstein files. One of the things I'll be showing you guys today is there's an email back and forth with Epstein that claims that the real Joe Biden was killed by firing squad in 2019. And that the man who was president from 2020 to 2024 was an actor, which obviously there's a lot of conspiracy theorists that were saying that previously. But that is actually in the Epstein stuff. So whether it's true or not, we don't know. But according to one of the things in the Epstein file that we'll get to, I have so many of them. It claims that Joe Biden was killed by firing squad. And the man who played president wasn't really Joe Biden. I don't even know what to think. Would Hunter hide that? Wouldn't he just come out with that if that was the case? Wouldn't that give him some type of leverage or power? I don't know. So wild stuff with the Biden family. This was another breaking news story today. It's official. Democrats are in panic mode now that 90% of Biden's orders and documents are null and void due to illegal autopin usage. So if you guys didn't hear, Trump made a post on Truth Social stating that all of the executive decisions that were made by AutoPen, they have now got a court confirmation that they are null and void, which is 92% of everything that Biden supposedly signed. So apparently that is now coming undone.
I'm going to read you exactly what he posted. He said, quote, any document signed by Sleepy Joe Biden with the AutoPen, which was approximately 92% of them, is hereby terminated and of no further force or effect. He says the AutoPen is not allowed to be used if approval is not specifically given by the President of the United States. He also says in that post, quote, I am hereby canceling all executive orders and anything else that was not directly signed by crooked Joe Biden, because the people who operated the AutoPen did so illegally. He goes on to say in that post, Joe Biden was not involved in the AutoPen process, and if he says he was, he'll be brought up on charges of perjury. He says, thank you for your attention to this matter. Of course, this was just posted moments ago to Truth Social. Again, the president, as we know, following him is at the golf course. So, of course, we're hoping to confirm and get any more information about this. Celicia.
So not huge news. Again, we'll be getting into more important things, but interesting nonetheless, important. We're not going to be watching this video, but I remember last Drama Alert, I talked about how the wealthy high school around Indianapolis, Carmel, did a walkout in support for the illegal aliens that are residing in the United States. Well, one of the more ghetto, at least that's kind of the reputation within Indiana, North Central High School in Indianapolis, which prides itself on being one of Indiana's most diverse schools, staged an ICE walkout. And what do you see? Well, you see them destroying property, destroying people's cars, just making a mess out of everything, just blocking roads. Par for the course, I guess, but just a little local update. Now, this video I thought was really, really insightful. Have you guys been seeing these videos of what these essentially beta males talking about going to war with the MAGA supporters and ICE and how they're getting bulletproof vests? I'm seeing like wine moms talking about getting bulletproof vests because Trump's a fascist and ICE is the Gestapo and all this different stuff. Well, of course, they can't do anything about it. These people live in a fantasy. And this guy nails it. Why are they such in a fantasy? Why are they so disconnected from real life? It's because these are Disney kids. These people who are marching in these ICE protests, these are like Disney kids. They think they're the main character in a movie. And they're not. They're depressed. They're single. They're typically unattractive. They're lonely. They have nothing going for them. They have no real skill set. They're not really competent at anything. And so all that angst then is filtered through these protests, through social movements, through George Floyd, through whatever it is. This guy nails it. Absolutely nails it.
Up with liberation! Down with deportation!
I swear these people literally think they're in a movie. Like, she's acting like she's in some poorly produced...
Now, I'm getting some zesty vibes from this guy. So he does have something good to say, but when I watched, I was like, I think this guy's batting for the other team.
Slop Netflix film where she's the main character in the civil rights era. And that's why you hear, by the way, these people constantly talk about being on the right side of history, because in their mind, in their movie Disney-brained minds, they think that they're like the main characters in a civil rights film, and like their grandchildren will remember them as these valiant heroes, when actually they were just grown adults who were brainwashed to fight against totally normal, non-radical laws. Like, Obama used to run on stronger border control. Borders are not this controversial regime, totalitarian regime idea. Like, they were very mainstream up until very recently. Like, you guys have just been brainwashed to fight against your own interests. You're not in a movie. You're just brainwashed.
So I guess you guys don't... I thought the guy's a little bit too zesty for me. I thought he was gay, but you guys are saying that's how average men sound these days. Gosh, what has happened to our society? Pitching, not catching. Oh, gosh. High School Musical Protest Edition. Yeah, pretty much. Hackett says no, he's just prepubescent. I don't know. Maybe he is prepubescent. There's a lot of hand movement there. There's not a lot of bass to his voice. I thought I heard a little bit of a lisp, but what he had to say was accurate. Christopher in Pennsylvania says fruitified. Yeah, pretty much. Soy boy for sure. So, anyways, it is funny that these people live in such a fantasy world, but this is actually incredibly interesting if you guys didn't see. This was going around the internet last week. Did you know that there is a plaque from the Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshipers is being displayed in the Minnesota State Capitol building, thanking Governor Tim Walz for allowing the spread of Satanism? Satan has a special place for you. And a lot of people said this was AI, this was fake. Grok actually came out and verified that this video is real. Then other people went to the Minnesota Capitol building and took photographs and videos of this exact plaque. So check this out, guys. This is incredible.
This is Representative Pam Altendorf coming live at you from the Minnesota State Capitol. I am on the ground floor, and as I was leaving my committee meeting today here earlier, I noticed that there is a new display here at the state capitol, and it's for Governor Walz. It's right here on display. So let me see. I mean, I guess I can't flip my phone, but I'll see if I can show it to you. So this is what we have here, everyone. Let me read it to you. The Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshipers thanks Governor Tim Walz for not standing in the way of spreading Satanism in the state capitol building. Satan has a special place for you. That's right, everyone. So the Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshipers, they have given some sort of plaque here to Governor Tim Walz. So let me be the first, I guess, to congratulate Governor Tim Walz for this very special award that has come from the Satan Worshipers here in the Minnesota State Capitol. Yes, everyone, this is true. I am live, not making this up. You can't make this up.
So, anyways, I thought this was apropos for today's stream because what's been the conspiracy theory for the last decade? I mean, it really isn't a decade limited, but the trope is we're ruled by a bunch of satanic pedophiles. You know, ever since Alex Jones broke into the Bohemian Grove, this is what a lot of people in the conspiratorial tinfoil hat world believe, myself included, that really what we're witnessing on a global level is a spiritual war between good and evil, between Satan and those who are trying to abide by the eternal commandments and laws of Christ. So crazy that while we're going to get into a massive swath of absolute Epstein degeneracy connecting everyone from Musk, Trump, Peter Thiel, the Bidens, you know, all types of famous people, Jay-Z, that we see right at the peak of all these protests, right when Minnesota is in the spotlight of the American news media, that and their Capitol building, they have a plaque from the Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshipers dedicated to Tim Walz. Wow. So whenever you see the Somali fraud going on in Minnesota, just keep all that in mind, that these people are legitimate Satanists. It's, you know, last drama alert, we talked about the Bible being banned in Nicaragua. We talked about politicians in Colombia giving medals to people who are part of a satanic cult, and it was filmed. And we have literal, I mean, Baphomet, remember the Baphomet statue that was in the Iowa state capitol building? That was what, 2 or 3 years ago? And then the Christian guy went in there and destroyed it and was promptly arrested. It's just crazy. It's crazy how degenerate the society we live in is. It's really unbelievable. Now, I'm not going to play this full video, but I wanted to get into some of the Ilhan Omar drama. So you guys may have saw the video where she got sprayed with an unknown chemical, which we're still told we don't know what it is, with a guy who turns out, spoiler alert, he's actually a Democrat. It clearly was a paid operation. He has a syringe where he runs up at a time in which Omar gives him like a sort of wink and a glance, a nod to go ahead with the agenda here, and then runs up, says something to her, and then squirts her with some type of liquid out of a syringe. So what do you get? White, male, Trump supporter, anti-vax, all in one little go here. Totally faked. The whole thing was staged. She knew it was getting ready to happen. But all this stuff has been surrounding Ilhan Omar. Like, we've known for how long? It's been common knowledge. People have been talking about the fact that she married her brother so that he could immigrate to the United States. Well, how many of you guys knew that she herself probably received citizenship in an irregular way? So what this video is talking about is this woman has done research and went through all these interviews from Ilhan Omar, and she claimed that she was born in 1981, which would have made her 18 years old at the time of her naturalization, which would have forced her to actually apply for citizenship. Because she's not a minor, she cannot be naturalized citizen in the United States. So turns out, it looks like those working with Omar have then gone back and changed or tried to erase some of these things on the internet to make her new birth date 1982 to avoid a possible investigation into her own status regarding citizenship, because it looks like she lied about her age so that she could get naturalized citizenship without actually having to reapply. So no surprise there. But that's what this woman is talking about. I'll play just a few minutes so you guys get a feel for it.
I was 8. We came to the refugee camp and waited 4 years for that process to take place for us to relocate here to the U.S. From what I remember at the age of 12.
Based on the limited information that we have, it appears that Ilhan Omar never obtained her U.S. citizenship. According to the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 2, a person who serves in the Congress has to have been 7 years a citizen of the United States. Now, the Omar family moved to the U.S. in 1995, and by law, refugees must be a lawful permanent resident for 5 years to be eligible to apply for U.S. citizenship. That would have been the year 2000 for her father. The limited sources that we have show that she became a citizen in 2000 when she was 17. The New York Times, AP News show that she was 17 when she became a citizen in 2000. The problem with that is that Ilhan Omar was not 17 in the year 2000. How do we know? Well, because numerous sources and her Minnesota legislative page show that her birth date was October 4th, 1981. Omar was not eligible to gain U.S. citizenship in 2000 as a minor. That is when she turned 19. So
So anyways, it goes on. You guys can search this up. This is Doreen Linder. Just put on Ilhan Omar 1981. Ilhan Omar 1981, you'll find this on X. So we got more stuff. Because Ilhan Omar has also like quadrupled her net worth in recent years. I don't know if you guys seen this. She's a Muslim, but we're told that she owns a winery in Napa, in wine country, in NorCal. Though she claims that she doesn't drink alcohol because she's a Muslim, but now she owns a winery, but then the winery doesn't have any wine, but the winery somehow has quadrupled in value and is worth like many, many millions of dollars. So that's where Ilhan Omar is kind of right in the thick of things. This is Elon Musk even retweeting Ilhan committed fraud. This is a little section from Fox News explaining it.
Let me give you the perfect example. How about Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar? In February of this year, she shot down claims that she's actually a millionaire. She wrote, my salary is $174,000 before taxes. I don't have stock or own a home. And I'm still paying off my student debt. So if you're going to lie on something that is public, maybe try checking my financial statements, and you will see I barely have thousands, let alone millions. Well, people have checked the public records now. Ilhan Omar apparently has a net worth upwards of $30 million, somewhere between $60 and $30 million. And get this, it's because of companies run and owned by her husband, who in 2023 had a net worth of $51,000. In 1 year, that $51,000 grew from $6 to $30 million. 3,500% growth in 1 year. What a good communist. It's always equality for you, elitism for those in power.
So there's another video I have that goes into a little bit more detail. Oh, did I not? Maybe I didn't even post it. Anyways, let me see if I can find it real quick. So this guy talked about the staged event with Ilhan Omar. She says, if you think Ilhan Omar's attack was legit, you might have the IQ of a Somali. Guy who is planning to spray her with some unknown substance conveniently sits front row. Waits for the moment she attacks ICE and Kristi Noem, then sprays her. Ilhan Omar chases him instead of ducking like a normal person, especially a woman, when attacked. Yeah, that's the I can't wait to play you this. She charges him like she's going to do something to him. It's so staged. It's such a sympathy move to try. Oh, wow, look how brave and strong Ilhan Omar is. She's our hero in the face of ICE and deportation. Look how she stands so strong. Cameras conveniently ready to take 4K images of the perpetrator. Ilhan Omar then defies her security to finish her dumb and unimportant speech. She proceeds to make herself out to be a champion who survived a political attack. Oh my. So let me show you guys the video. If you didn't see this, at least before the Epstein, this was right before the Epstein files dropped. So this was kind of all over the news. Then once the Epstein files dropped, nobody gives a shit about this staged event. But this is the angle that we all got. Now watch this. Watch this. It is so fake. You'll see she looks down, and I'll show you from a different camera angle. She basically nods and tells him to come up. But this is where we were told that a wild white male Trump supporter attacks Ilhan Omar during a private speech.
Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment. I don't know.
Oh my God, he sprayed something on her.
I need a napkin to know nothing. No, we will continue.
No. Ilhan, you need to go get checked.
No, we will continue. These fucking assholes are not going to get away with it.
You need to go get checked. No, I don't know what.
Now, obviously, if this was legitimate and he sprayed an unknown substance on her, you would be kind of worried. You know, you'd be kind of worried. Maybe it's acid. Maybe it's something that is toxic. By breathing it in, you could potentially be harmed or die. No, she's very convinced that she's not going to let these assholes stop her, and she's going to finish her speech. Now, check this out. Here's a few different angles. This, you can see, she clearly gives him the nod. She looks down. Again, he's right in her line of sight. She looks up at him, and then he gets up. Almost like the whole thing was planned for once she brought up Kristi Noem and ICE, that the white man is supposed to come to attack him. Now, this guy's neighbor verified that he thought he was a Democrat. He was a left-leaning supporter. And he said, the guy came to me and asked if I would take his dog out because he was going to an Ilhan Omar speech, and said I might not be back till the day after. The neighbor said he made it sound like he knew he wasn't going to come home that night, almost as if he knew he was going to be arrested. Which, of course, that's exactly what happened. He knew he was going to be arrested. And so he asked his neighbor, hey, will you go make sure you let my dog out? I won't be home till probably the next morning. So that was according to the guy's neighbor, which probably Ilhan didn't expect us to find out. And so this Anthony Kazmierzik, 55 years old. You see he's got a syringe. It looks like it has some orange liquid in it. You can't really tell. He squirts her with it. But again, Ilhan is just so brave. She's so brave that, you know, she was able to finish her speech in the face of everything that those nasty Trump supporters and those fascist white Americans that want the illegals gone. You literally do have to have the IQ of a Somali to believe it. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. David James Flood, been a Codal Crew member for 1 year. Thank you so much, brother. Says, congrats on hitting the 50K milestone. Thank you. And God bless Rachel for the 20 gifted memberships. Absolutely. That was very, very generous of her. Rough Hands, been a member for 34 months. Thank you so much, brother. Says 50K. Let's go. That's right. 50K. My goal, we're going to see how close we can get to 100K by the end of the year. That's the goal. Can we break 100K? My goal is basically to post about every single day. Byzantine Soldier throws in 349. Watch out for Miga lovers, bruh. There's a lot of Miga lovers, that's for sure. Total Gravity throws in 20, says, congrats on the 50K. Thank you so much, Total Gravity. God bless you, man. Dan Vicious throws in 2, says, he's a guys against groomers guy. He gay. I'm not sure who you're talking about. You're talking about the guy that sprayed Ilhan Omar, Dan Vicious? Yeah, he's got 2 kids, they're daughters, and they look trans. Like purple hair, nose piercings, the whole kit and caboodle. His kids definitely look like they're up to something. So, yeah, it's in, again, according to his neighbor, he thought the guy was a Democrat. He thought he supported Ilhan Omar. That's why he said, I'm surprised that he would have attacked her. Because he didn't. It was all part of a staged event. Nathaniel throws in 5, says, a wild actor appeared. Actor used fake attack. It's not very effective. No, it's not very effective. And it's very, very easy to see through. Very easy to see through. Thank you very much, Muratak Balut. Been a member for 7 months. Says, congrats. Well, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate the support. Oh, and he just gifted 20 Codal Crew memberships. Wow, bro. Thank you so much, man. God bless you, bro. That is very generous of you. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Welcome all new Codal Crew members, guys. Make sure to use your emojis. So this was the video I wanted to show you about all the crime he gets into. I'm not a Newsmax guy, okay? I am not a fan of Newsmax. Newsmax is incredibly Zionist. In fact, I think they're Jewish owned, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me if they are or not. I believe that Newsmax is Jewish owned. But he does do a good job a little bit breaking down some of the numbers regarding her and her husband's finances as of late.
Another major asset she listed in her financial disclosure is this winery. What does a Somali know about wineryism? Okay, that was in 2023. That was worth, according to Ilhan Omar's own financial disclosure form, between $15,000 and $50,000. But on her financial affidavit from a year later, that same winery was listed at a value of between $1 and $5 million. Just real quick. Why does a Muslim own an alcohol company? I thought that wasn't a thing in Islam. Anyway, it gets weirder. Up until yesterday, Benny Johnson was able to find their supposed inventory bottles and all the things they had, their office location, and a bunch of other information on the business. But as of today, those sites are totally shut down, and any mention of their website,
strange. That's weird.
The internet. I'm talking gone. The Wayback Machine, all these other crafty little archive sites, everything is gone. Like deleted the root service. I called my computer buddy Jim. He couldn't even find it with some fancy AR jargon bot machine for recovery. I don't even know who was explaining it to me. He couldn't even find it, which is weird that a company that boasted an award-winning wine, the, quote, double gold winner in 2022 Sam Chronicle competition with a corporate value of up to $5 million would just vanish into thin air? They didn't sell it? Is it possible for this to be a functioning business and have absolutely no footprint, wiped from the internet, go from 1,000 net worth to 5 million in less than a year?
Well, no other winery on earth's done that, Carl. Anybody knows anything about this knows that the wine industry is under enormous pressure. Wineries, there's people pulling up vineyards and closing wineries, including some very well-known ones. People are drinking less wine. The economy is weighed on that in favor of cheaper alcohol options. So the wine industry has been in mad contraction for quite some time now. But more to the point, you have to have a federal license to have an alcohol facility. Where is her winery on the TTB website? That's right. The federal regulatory body that does this. So no, this doesn't exist, and it's a phantasm that the idea you can have a winery increase in value. Everybody else in the wine business knows better.
Yeah.
So there you go. As we had already suspect, totally wiped the winery business. It's all money laundering. That's what these people do. It's money laundering. Can we get Chads, some Ortho Chads? Everybody who's a member, share your Ortho Chad in the chat for Marat and Rachel for the 20 gifted Codal Crew memberships. Show some love to Marat and Rachel. Ortho Chads in the chat. Ortho Chads in the chat. I just shared some. All right, next topic. So something wholesome, something to actually raise your spirits out there. New historical data shows that over his lifetime, Vlad the Impaler was responsible for the death of at least 50,000 Muslims. Wonderful news. Wonderful news. I'm never going to leave you guys, wanting for a highlight, something to lift your spirits, something to put a smile on your face. And so, you ask and you shall receive. New historical data, Vlad the Impaler killed over 50,000. Now, remind you, this is before guns, people. This is through hand-to-hand combat. This is with swords and horses. So super based. Very based. Very based. Next one. Now, this is also very based, and I thought it was very apropos given the nature of our conversation today with Epstein. Putin is preparing to establish an armed anti-Satanism military, including Wagner, to fight Satanism and sorcery, and says it's a threat to humanity. Putin protecting Russia from Epstein satanic branches and Western powers. Now, that is very, very cool. As we just said, there's a plaque in the Minnesota Capitol building dedicated to Tim Walz regarding the Democratic Coalition of Satan worshipers, congratulating him on allowing the proliferation of Satanism in the state of Minnesota. So that's what we got going in the state of Minnesota, Somaliland. And then over in mean, bad Russia, you got Putin literally creating an anti-Satanism task force, military task force. That is so freaking cool. That is so freaking cool. And again, I did read an article. I don't have it in anything today regarding the Epstein stuff, but I did read something. This was a few days ago about Putin and his recent turn becoming more and more conservative. And so the article spoke that Putin, though people have speculated being an atheist, KGB agent, may not have the dearest Orthodox heart regarding Christ, but this article claimed that at least in recent years, he has become more devout in his faith. He's become more conservative as a politician, and he believes that Orthodox Christianity or the Orthodox Christian Church is the last thing fighting against the Satanism of the West. So at least this was according to one person. So very cool, very based, I got to give support and respect where respect is due. So much respect to Putin for that. Next one. Some of you guys may have seen Nicki Minaj making the news because of her recent appearance with Trump. There was a joke at her expense by Trevor Noah, the South African, very unfunny comedian who replaced, Jon Stewart on The Daily Show or replaced Jon Stewart, totally tanked. Nobody really watched it. Now he was hosting the Grammys. She did not attend. He made a joke about her. Everybody cheered. Chrissy Teigen, John Legend's, weird wife. Remember how she deleted like 6,000? Remember Chrissy Teigen? This was what? A couple years ago when she deleted like 6,000 posts on Twitter, I guess tweets at the time. Really weird stuff about watching kids do gymnastics and that somebody needs to take her to jail now, insinuating that somehow she found kids doing splits and gymnastics sexually enticing. That Chrissy Teigen, that one right there, that very weird lady. She was then cheering Trevor Noah on because Nicki Minaj was not present. Well, Nicki then came out and had this to say publicly. Your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god. You see, when your master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood. However, the jig is up. So that was her response to being mocked at the Grammys. Akathis says she is literally the biggest whore. Is she? I know that it's degenerate, the stuff she raps about, but is she really a whore? I don't know that. I know that she's been married to the same guy for a while. So you guys can say, I'm no Nicki Minaj expert, but from my understanding, she's been married to the same guy for a long time. Her raps are incredibly degenerate. I would say Cardi B is more of a whore than she is. Cardi B was an actual stripper. Cardi B actually bragged about, luring guys and then taking their money by drugging them. But it's all degenerate in my opinion. So she very well could be. I have no idea. My only point is that as an important news piece, or an article of news is what I'm trying to say, I thought it was noteworthy because it was making its rounds around social media. The fact that she's calling out when, again, we're getting all this stuff coming out from the Epstein files, one of which Hillary Clinton, and I don't even have this one pulled. There's so much. I didn't even have this. Hillary Clinton makes a joke in an email about sacrifice to Moloch. Again, Bohemian Grove, there's a lot of speculation there. But the fact that Nicki's speaking out, I think it's positive, no matter what it is. And she very well could be. I have no idea. Very well could be. Pablo Winscabar throws in 3, says, congrats on 50K, Dr. DPH. God bless. Well, thank you very much, Pablo. I really appreciate that. God bless you. And over on Dono Chat, Bon Jovi throws in a generous $50. Congrats on 50K. Well deserved. Thank you very much, Bon Jovi. Really appreciate that. All right. So that's a little Nicki Minaj news. Now, this is one. Now we're going to start getting into the Epstein stuff, but I wanted to make one caveat before we got into it. That is, this video was released in the Epstein files. Okay, this video right here, which then they started circulating that Post Malone and Dan Blazarian were on Epstein Island, which was then quickly refuted once it was brought to people's attention that this is a photo on Dan Blazarian's Instagram page. And clearly these women are of age, again, not promoting Dan Blazarian's very degenerate polyamorous worldview and lifestyle. But I think we need to have some type of caution. That's why for the stuff that I pulled up today regarding Epstein, most of it was things that I have not seen anybody be critical of regards being AI generated or fake. There's a bunch of AI generated stuff that's floating around right now. But why would the DOJ, unless it was intentional to sort of obfuscate things and get people's names included in the files that maybe have nothing to do with it, why would the DOJ release a photo that is from Dan Blazarian's Instagram page with Post Malone and Dan Blazarian with 2 women of age, at least, in the Epstein files, insinuating, not stating explicitly, but here it is, insinuating as part of the Epstein files that this was evidence? How does that make any sense? And so that's what I mean. A little bit of, they're muddying the waters, clearly. And so that's why I'm saying we have to be we have to slow down a little bit on stuff coming out because, apparently the DOJ has also pulled anything that referenced Trump. So I still have them because when they released it, the Trump stuff was available. I bookmarked them. And if you've already taken a screenshot or you have it as an image saved on your phone, they can't, technically they could, but they're not going to take that from you. But apparently the DOJ site where all of the stuff is, there's a huge section potentially implicating Trump that I'm about to bring up to you guys. This was apparently right here wiped from the evidence that was released. And so I want to go through this because, if Trump's implicated, he's implicated. I'm not one of these MAGA defenders that has to make, my worldview is going to shatter if Donald Trump turns out to actually be engaged in sexual activity with young women. It's very possible. So what this insinuates, I'm going to read the whole thing to you. So Trump accused of raping a 13-year-old in newly released Epstein files. Newly released Epstein files mention Trump in some really messed up claims. One says girls got brought to his Mar-a-Lago place for these calendar girl parties where Epstein supplied them and things got auctioned off. Another tip claims kids were abused, checked for, quote, tightness by touching them and basically sold to rich guys. A few reports named Trump, Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell directly. Now, and one of the things to give context here, we do know that Trump has made the life of Ghislaine Maxwell much more comfortable. She's essentially sitting in a type of resort right now. She has a puppy. The idea that she's in like some federal max prison, nowhere near the reality. She's basically in a resort where she can't leave and is given a lot of amenities. So Trump, in his only public comment, at least the most famous one that he's ever made about Ghislaine, is that he said he wished her well. Now, is it possible that she knows a lot? It does make potential sense why Trump would make her accommodations much easier to potentially keep her mouth shut if she wants to get out of jail, if she wants to be in the situation she's in. She's probably not going to bring up things about Trump, even though we do know that Trump and Epstein's relationship, before Epstein was arrested again and then, quote, we're told killed himself, which there's a lot of speculation about, that they had a falling out. Trump and Epstein were not close anymore. At one time, they were very close. And I believe there's even videos of these types of parties at Mar-a-Lago where Epstein was there and some of these young girls that potentially going to compete in Miss USA or whatever beauty pageant it is that Trump runs. So one really dark one says a girl was 13 when Trump raped her, forcing oral sex and more in rooms. These are just summaries from complaints and tips in the files. The government calls a bunch of the Trump stuff untrue and sensationalist claims from around 2020. No charges or proof against him came from it. And so that's where, is it possible that this stuff was made up recently? I guess it's possible. It is possible. That's what Trump is claiming. He's claiming that this is part of this Democrat hoax. Other stuff where Trump is connected in the Epstein files mentions Melania, the fact that it's reportedly, or at least claimed, alleged that he met Melania through Epstein. And there's supposed photos. There's photos of him with Melania and Epstein and Ghislaine. But apparently there's photos of Melania when she was younger, not a little girl, she's an adult, at parties with Trump and Epstein. And one of them claimed that Trump had relationships with Melania. And this is very, very early when they first met. And he came out of the room saying, "That is one hot piece of ass." So that was one of the things that does sound like Trump. That was reported as well. So this says, though, I want to read some of this stuff to you. So you can see notable names on the far right side. So Robin Leach, that's the gentleman that did the Life of the Rich and Famous. It says right here, well, we'll get to it. We'll read all of it at once. So it begins that something redacted. Somebody reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform oral sex on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13 to 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing oral sex. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting President Trump. The friend said she was also abused by Epstein. Somebody else reported she has a friend who was a personal assistant to Epstein in Florida from 1986 into 1991 or 92. This friend shared names of some of the guests at Epstein's parties to include Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. At age 16, while modeling, Caller attended 8 parties at Epstein's New York residence. On one occasion, a caller reported she was sexually assaulted by Epstein. On another occasion, 2 twin brothers, Alan and Orrin, lured Caller and her friend upstairs, but they escaped back downstairs. Caller stated Orrin raped her best friend, and a third brother, Tal, raped a 14-year-old girl named blank, blacked out, redacted. Caller named other individuals involved in, quote, big orgy parties with her, other young girls, and older Victoria's Secret models, including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Online complaint reported she was a victim and witness to a sex trafficking ring at the Trump golf course in Rancho Palos Verdes, California, between 1995 and 1996. Complaint reported Ghislaine Maxwell as the madam and broker for sex parties, clients of whom included Epstein, Robin Leach, and Donald Trump. Complainant reported participating in orgies and that some girls went missing, rumored to have been murdered and buried at the facility. Complainant reported being threatened by Trump's then head of security that if she ever talked of what went on there or who she saw, he would, quote, end up as fertilizer for the, I guess it should be her, that, or she would end up as fertilizer for the back 9 holes like the other cunts. Complaints claims to have video of high-profile sex parties, dealings with cartels, and having witnessed Robin Leach strangle a young girl to death at a party. And then another one says Donald Trump, the president, had parties at Mar-a-Lago called Calendar Girls. Jeffrey Epstein would bring the children in and Trump would auction them. Now, is it possible, though? Is it possible that the Biden administration doctored some of this stuff up in the hopes that if the Trump administration retook their office and wanted to release these materials, that it would implicate Trump and make things messier? I guess it's possible. Now, is it possible that a very wealthy man like Donald Trump, who self-admits that his only vice is that he loves women and sex, would have a inkling for 13, 14, 15-year-old girls? It's possible. We know for a fact that he would have these girls come over, essentially prepping for the modeling contests, and they were about 14 to 15 years old. And we know that he would walk around backstage and see some of them changing and undressing. I don't know exactly what to make of it, but it is interesting. And so here's another thing where the FBI report, citing a confidential human source released in the final batch of the Epstein files, claims Trump has been compromised by Israel. And so it says, CHS believed Dershowitz was co-opted by Mossad and subscribed to their mission. CHS still continues to communicate occasionally for Dershowitz. And then it talks about Epstein, and then when it comes over here, it says CHS advised that this was a real collusion story. Trump has been compromised by Israel and Kushner and is the real brains behind the organization and his presidency. Now, is that believable? Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty damn believable. That's pretty damn believable. That makes sense why Trump does every single thing Miriam Adelson asked. Because maybe Israel has the actual evidence for everything that is being articulated in the Epstein files. Now, for those of you who don't know, one of the members of the Trump administration went on Fox News before I went live tonight and basically said that they're not going to prosecute anybody named in the Epstein files. So they were forced to release these files due to the vote in Congress, right? So all the Democrats who hate Trump voted for the release of them. And then we had, I think, 4 or 5 Republicans that joined them to give them the enough votes to actually release these files. So that's the only reason why they're released. Trump could have vetoed them, but he didn't, because it'd make him look even more guilty. But now they're released. But the Trump administration has already stated explicitly that they have no intention of prosecuting anybody mentioned in these files. So do with that whatever you will. Now, here's another thing that came out regarding Trump and the Epstein files that I think is very interesting. And this comes from a back and forth between Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein. Now, as I told you, we're going to watch a little bit of their interview here in a few. But this is a back and forth where Steve and Jeffrey Epstein are referring to this particular girl right here as essentially a side chick for Trump. It almost sounds as if Melania and Trump do not have romantic relations anymore. At least that's kind of the impression I got, because Jeffrey Epstein makes a point, and I'm going to show you the full thread here. This is just a partial. He insinuates that Trump needs the release, that he's a much more calm person, which would insinuate that him and Melania maybe are not as intimate as they once were, or if they ever were. But here's the full text thread. So it's this chick right here. Her name is Madeleine Westerhout, and it claims that her and Trump were sexually involved. Now, she resigned after revealing to a reporter that Trump liked her better than his daughters and didn't like to be photographed with Tiffany Trump because she looked overweight. And then she resigned. But look at these texts. I want to go over them with you. So this is, the white is Steve Bannon, the blue and the orange is Jeffrey Epstein. And it says, two things he dreads, referring to Trump at the moment, is that an email from his ex saying he has a small dick and his transcript. Steve Bannon says, the staying away from family over holidays, huge tell. And then he says, thanks for Madeleine, meaning this chick. And then Steve Bannon says, whoa. And then Jeffrey Epstein says, wake up, dude. And he responds, says, she has a way about her, ... exclamation mark. And then Epstein says, saving the world in my view. And then Steve Bannon says, then we really need an intervention. Next one. Says, did you know Marianne, Donald's new friend? And then he corrected himself, Madeleine Westerhut. Very funny. And Steve Bannon says she is the receptionist. Good kid. Grundun came from RNC. And then Epstein calls her knee pads. He calls her knee pads. He says, doing God's work. And then Steve Bannon says, laugh my ass off. And then Epstein responds, he's much more calm, but the sight of him in the residence in his undies is hard to fathom. I'll give you details when I see you. So, and this is the chick right here. So, again, I can't prove anything. I don't know what to think, but it sounds like it was somewhat common knowledge, and maybe it wasn't. Maybe Epstein made this up, but kind of looks like it. Oh my gosh. Bro, Jay Dyer just sent in $100. Jay, thank you so much, man. God bless you, brother. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate that support, man. That is so generous. Thank you very much, Jay. God bless you and Jamie. Wow, bro. Thank you. Thank you, man. And you've been doing great work. Dude, I watched your recaps of your Epstein stuff. Incredible coverage. That was a huge help for me getting a grasp on everything today for my stream. So thank you so much, Jay. Yes, what a nice guy. Special nice guy, dude. Thank you, Jay. Really appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. Let me catch up, see if there's anything else that people sent in. Real Resme throws in 5, says, congrats on 50K, DPH. Well, thank you very much. And a special thank you to Jay. Really appreciate that, brother. Thank you. So, guys, we got, what do we have? 49 more? 49. We got a goal of 50 super chats today for 50,000 subscribers. So we reached the 50,000 subscriber mark. If you appreciate my work over the years, if you appreciated my YouTube channel, feel free to support. help me get to my goal, 50 super chats for 50K subscribers. Major thank you so far to Rachel, Murat, and Jay for the very generous super chats. And Bon Jovi. Thank you, Bon Jovi, for the generous super chat. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. All right. Next topic we got here. Oh, we got some over on... No, we don't. Next topic. Breaking. I thought this was hilarious. Gates wanted Epstein to delete evidence of his STD. This is real, guys. Emails Epstein sent himself in 2013 claiming Bill Gates caught an STD from Russian girls and begged him for antibiotics to secretly give Melinda Gates. Key quote from Epstein: "You implore me to please delete the emails regarding your STD. You request that I provide you antibiotics that you can surreptitiously give to Melinda in the description of your penis." Can you imagine Bill Gates freaking out because he got an STD from Epstein Island, and he's telling Jeffrey Epstein what his penis looks like? It's all mangled from STDs. Oh my gosh. And I got a video of Melinda responding to this. Okay, so we're going to get into that just a second. But can you imagine that? I mean, Bill Gates was just totally humiliated by Epstein. You can tell by reading some of these emails. Like, Epstein just did not see him as any sort of authority or threat, and just mocked him for getting STDs, mocked him for sharing what his dick looked like to him, mocked him for the fact he's going to try to give the STDs to his wife, which I don't know. I always assume that Melinda Gates, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, oh, they got a new polio vaccine. They give it to people in Kenya and everybody gets polio. Wonder why. I always assume that she was in on all this stuff. I really don't know at this point. When we watch the next video, she claims that she's totally unaware of what Bill was doing with Jeffrey Epstein. But you can tell Jeffrey Epstein had him by the balls, for sure. So Epstein was pissed Gates ended their friendship. Gates has always denied any relationship or wrongdoing with Epstein, calling meetings a mistake. Yeah, I bet they were a mistake. It ruined his whole family. And so here is Melinda actually being asked about it.
The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection, and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing. His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad. That's the truth, right? And it's kind of like, at least for me, I've been able to move on in life.
Now, what do you guys think? Do you think Melinda knew what Bill was up to? Do you think she actually went to Epstein Island? Because according to her, she didn't like, or she got creepy vibes from Jeffrey Epstein. She didn't like Bill hanging out, and she claims she had no idea what was going on. I'm curious what you guys think. Yeah, she says there's more. She's a liar. Agatha says she's a liar. Will she give back the blood money? I doubt that, Caravaggio. I doubt that. So she seems very sympathetic now, but I don't know. I have a hard time believing she's going to give away the hundreds of millions of dollars that she was awarded in alimony. So, yeah, Jesse thinks she knew. I don't know what does a marriage of a billionaire look like? Are they allowed to sleep around? I don't know. It seems like she would have known, doesn't it? It seems like she would have known what he's up to. And according to everyone in the elite circles, everybody knew what Jeffrey Epstein was up to. So if your husband's going to Epstein Island routinely, it appeared, I mean, he was like one of the more frequent flyers. You think she would have a hunch, but she acts like, and she's done all these interviews claiming she had no idea. She didn't like Epstein. She's horrified. She basically insinuates that all these rumors about Bill are true. She has not denied any of the rumors regarding her ex-husband, Bill Gates. Jesse says she laughed when Bill Gates made jokes about depopulation. That is true. I did see that. I think I covered that that was like 5 years ago. Yeah. No, I agree with you guys. Next thing in the Epstein files. So what do I have now? Epstein files show he never lost access. Newly released emails and photos allegedly show Epstein still moving comfortably around elite circles. From Naomi's birthday world and yacht chatter to Middle East power players and framed photos with Fidel Castro in his home. The same dumps also show Epstein swapping messages about conspiracies and fringe science, making it feel less like random contacts and more like a tight network that never really went away. And beyond the elite party chatter, the newly unsealed material also allegedly shows Epstein trading emails about JFK conspiracies, CIA plots, and flirting with fringe ideas about genetics and improving humanity. And so here you can see Fidel Castro apparently in the home of Jeffrey Epstein. Let me zoom out a bit. Very interesting. He was able to make that happen. So talking about, again, things that he was up to, what he was doing. So pretty wild stuff regarding the influence, the connections that the man had. Now, this is pretty interesting, talking about non-Jews as cattle. So we're going to get into all the Goyim stuff here in just a second. But Jeffrey Epstein called Madonna cattle after seeing her on the Jew Larry King show, where she discussed Kabbalah and took kike spirituality lessons from some rabbi huckster, expressing disdain with celebrities hopping on the Jew identity bandwagon without actually converting. It was extensively documented that Madonna got into Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, and introduced people like Britney Spears to the movement. So here's what the message actually says. This is, I believe, from Epstein. This is from Epstein. So he says, saw Madonna on the Jew Larry King show talking about Kabbalah. Hollywitz types, especially Gentiles, who take Kabbalah lessons from some rabbi huckster are a funny joke. Larry didn't look amused to be talking Jew religious issues with a cattle. That is a reference back to how Goyim, non-Jews, are referenced in the Talmud. Not that he gives a damn about any spirituality, including K-I-K-E spirituality. I couldn't tell if Larry was bored, mad, or just constipated. The rabbi's probably charging a ton of money for these quote-unquote lessons to these credulous celebrities wanting to hop on the Jew identity bandwagon without actually converting. So as we're going to move through here, you're going to see that Jewish identity was a major component for Jeffrey Epstein. He talks about the specialty of Jewish souls. I have a video talking about all the references to Goyim through in his personal emails and messages. And so the next one, this is a shout out to Jay Dyer. This is actually, Jay shared this one, so this is how I found this one. He says, Epstein, Jewish souls have special magical DNA, Gentiles don't. And it says, so this is from Mark Fisher to Jeffrey Epstein. But this is Jeffrey Epstein sending it back. No. This is Mark sending it to Epstein. He says, thought about our conversation regarding meditation. Actually, it's not that hard. Why? A Jewish soul has a very different structure, different ingredients slash components. It relates to its highest levels differently, has different higher levels, relates to itself and other people in a different manner than a non-Jewish soul. To use repair methods slash meditation on something as sensitive as a soul requires the right tools. You cannot fix an Aston Martin with a Ford pickup truck tool set. With the right meditation, it ain't so hard. If you're coming to New York the week of the 22nd, that is good for me. It's the off week for chemo. All the best, Mark. So, interesting little tidbit there. Jews have little special souls. I had no idea. Now check this out.
Jeffrey Epstein's bank account was called Baal, the ancient Canaanite deity which people would sacrifice their children to. A victim's diary shows that she was impregnated multiple times and forced to give birth for Ghislaine and Epstein. Israel is mentioned twice as much as Donald Trump in the new documents. Here he is discussing with Roger Schank, a Jewish-American academic and hedge fund worker, saying Jews create vast fortunes by manipulating markets and creating financial speculation and exploiting labor. He says, let the Goyim deal in the real world. In a discussion with the Rothschild family, Epstein says if they overthrew the Ukrainian government, there would be great opportunities. The Rothschild family paid Epstein $25 million for certain algorithms. While talking to Peggy Seigel, August 7th of 2010, she asks if an event is going to be 100% Jewish. He says no, they'll have Goyim in abundance. But don't worry, they're just brilliant wasps from JP Morgan. Joshua Finkelstein, BlackRock's Larry Finkelstein's son, is accused of not having any respect for non-Jews, seeing them as not human. This is from his ex-girlfriend, Svetlana. He pressures her to have an abortion. In 2017, Epstein has a conversation talking about if you want to hire the best people, you have to hire only Jews. Only hire those who can prove they are genetically Jewish. Maria Farmer, one of the first victims to come out and name Epstein.
I wasn't allowed to go get food. And when I called Ghislaine and asked why I couldn't eat there, she said, it's a Jewish country club. You're not Jewish. They're not going to serve you. They, honest to God, think their DNA is better than everybody else's.
Said that their operation was motivated by Jewish supremacy.
Huh. Interesting little tidbit there. I'm sure everyone is so surprised. I'm sure you guys are just blown off your rockers right now. Never saw that one coming. Kyliran throws in 5, says, Super Chat, thank you so much for helping me get to my 50 Super Chat goal for celebrating 50,000 subscribers. In fact, let me check to see what the actual subscriber count is right now. We are at 50,009 subscribers. Glory to God. All praise to Christ. Glory to God for all the blessings. Jawokin, 8766 throws in 900,000 soon. Amen, brother. That's the goal. That's the goal. Next goal after 50 is 100. MGM Studies 7022 throws in 20. Says congratulations, brother. Thank you so much, MGM Studies. Really appreciate that. Journey of Abundance. Shout out to my brother, Journey of Abundance. I know who that is. God bless you and the family, man. I hope you're doing well. I need to check out the debate from last night. I hadn't had opportunity to catch up on it. He says, congrats on 50K, brother. Well, thank you so much, man. God bless you. Your wife recently messaged my wife. I think we're supposed to hook up sometime in the near future for lunch or dinner or do something. So thank you very much, brother. I really appreciate the support. Michael throws in 2, says, what role does AI play in the Epstein release? Well, I don't know what you're asking. Are you asking like how can AI help us uncover and understand what's in the Epstein release? Are you talking about what did Epstein himself think about AI? Are you asking what is the relationship between Israel and AI? I've been posting a bunch about that. I got tons of, check out my YouTube shorts if you want to hear more about that. AI is, there's a major, in fact, it was just in the video I posted today with Professor Jiang Shui-Xin from Predictive History. Israel and their Greater Israel Project is tied with becoming AI dominant, being a leader in AI and robotics, so that they can be the power structure of a centralized world government, and that the Great World War is going to allow them to sort of leapfrog some of these other countries. And so I just talked recently about Tesla, X, Google, Microsoft, ChatGPT, building headquarters in Jerusalem. Why is that important? Because it's tied with the Jewish eschatological understanding of how they're going to build their sort of global surveillance system. So in that sense, it connects, but I'm not sure where you're going, Michael. I apologize. And then Byzantine Soldier throws in 349, says, reach for the goal, bro. Well, thank you very much, brother. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. We are at 15. So we need 35 more super chats. 35 more super chats to reach the goal for today. So come on, guys. Help me with the grift. Help me with the grift. I know I don't grift as good as some of the other guys. Everybody tells me. But I need some pay piggies. I mean, my gosh, I reached the 50,000 subscriber goal. Where's the pay piggies at? I need Jay Dyer's pay piggies. All right. Next one we got here. Have you guys been seeing this stuff about Jay-Z fleeing the country? Have you guys seen that? I cannot verify that it's totally true. I cannot verify that it's true, but I've seen multiple reports saying this is the case. Which, if you're listening to, so 50 Cent has recently made comments about Jay-Z being attracted to, let's just say doing some inappropriate activity with young girls, his relationship with Epstein. And then there was also Nicki Minaj that was insinuating, apparently multiple times she's talked about how Jay-Z is one of the worst people in the entire hip-hop or rap industry. Again, take that for whatever it is. But a lot of speculation has floated around Jay-Z for a while. And so here's what it says. Jeffrey Epstein's newly released files named Jay-Z as a sick predator who drugged and raped multiple women and was literally naked in the room with Harvey Weinstein. This monster still walks red carpets and runs empires in the music industry. How many more victims have to suffer before Hollywood burns? The conspiracy crowd tried to warn us, and we mocked them. Never again. And so this was just recently at the Grammys, and here's what the document reads. So on July 10th, 2019 at 8:20 a.m. Eastern Time, blah, 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 called the FBI National Threat Operations Center to identify herself as a victim of sex abuse by Jeffrey Epstein and others. She provided the following information. In approximately 1994, again, all redacted, as a private victim of sex abuse by all redacted, revealed herself as part of victim of sex abuse by Epstein. She described the abuse occurred during the parties, further identified as a friend of blank. In approximately 1996, resided with blank in blank, an unknown man abducted blank from her home, whence she later awoke in the presence of Harvey Weinstein and saw Sean Carter, Jay-Z, while Weinstein had inserted his fingers into blank. Blank believed she was in Epstein's mansion in Florida. Blank estimated she was abducted on 7 occasions, awaking each time in an opulent indoor setting. She suffered from sex abuse on multiple of these occasions in which Epstein participated. She recalled Leon Black and William Barr, that's Bill Barr, the guy that claimed that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself in prison, that guy, that Bill Barr. Current United States Attorney General being present during some of the occasions of abuse. Remember, it's Bill Barr's dad who hired Jeffrey Epstein and gave him a start in his career. Interesting little connection there, right? I'm sure totally insignificant, right? The fact that the Attorney General who covered up whatever actually did happen with Epstein, that he's just present when these women are drugged or these girls are drugged and then they wake up. Weird. Being present during some of the occasion of abuse in approximately 2006. blank last recalled being abused by Epstein. Huh. So that's pretty interesting. And then apparently, again, there's other posts that says that it says Jay-Z has left like the United States, and I don't even know what country he's in, but apparently a non-extradition nation, so that he can't be sent back to the United States. But, you know, is it believable? Yeah, it's pretty believable. The fact that all this stuff's coming out, it's pretty believable. Here's an interesting one, too. There's a video, or Epstein was emailing about a potential torture video. This guy did some interesting digging and thinks he's figured out who made the video and who the email was sent to.
This is one of the biggest videos I've ever made, potentially, and I would never unalive myself. So there was this email. It says, "Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video." Now that's coming from Jeffrey Epstein. It was censored who he sent that to. But whoever it was said, "I am in China," right? What day was that? That was in April of 2009, right? Huh. Well, this guy, he was in China in April of 2009. Schmenjman, second Sasu. Yeah. What's it say there? And in the U.S., I'll be in the U.S. second week of May. I bet he wasn't, though, was he? Holy shit, he was. Damn.
Benjamin Netanyahu was in the United States in May of 2009. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with President Barack Obama at the White House in Washington, D.C. on Monday, May 18, 2009. Interesting.
That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. Wow. I'm sure.
Is it possible that Netanyahu's the one that was receiving the email from Epstein talking about how he enjoyed watching the torture video? Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Altar Void throws in 10. Thank you very much. He says, imagine all the people that thought that Mustache Man thought they are superior human, just to find out 70 years later the victims thought they are the only human and everyone else is subhuman. Yeah. It's an irony, isn't it? That's why you got to follow Christ, right? Whether you're into Ariosophy, or you're into Jewish supremacy, Talmudism, it's the same thing. You got to follow Christ. You got to realize that it's not about a supremacy of racial groups, though there are characteristics unique to each. It's about only in Christ can we find true harmony and unification. So yeah, it's funny how that turns out, isn't it? Wow. So major thank you to The We Sing throws in 101 and 1 cent. Thank you so much. Says much love, brother. Thank you very much, brother, for that generous support. God bless you, man. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Austin DeTulio throws in 5. It says pay piggy. There you go. Thank you very much, Austin. There's my pay piggy. Don't make me play Jay Dyer's pay piggy to you guys. All right, I will stop the stream right now, and we will listen to Pay Piggy, unless you guys start helping a brother out. Shout out to Kristen. She throws in 5, says, for the goal. Thank you so much, Kristen. God bless you and the family. Thank you for everything you do. All the support over the years, legitimately. Kristen, Crispy, you guys have been supporters from when I had a very small YouTube channel. Very small YouTube channel. I truly appreciate you guys being mods and helping me out. Thank you. Josiah Elleron throws in not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 $2 super chats. Thank you so much, Josiah. Really appreciate it, my man. God bless you. And Total Gravity throws in 10, no comment. Thank you so much, Total Gravity. Really appreciate you guys. Help me get to my goal. And over on Dono Chat, Carlos throws in a generous $100. Thank you so much, brother. He says, congrats on 50K. Really appreciate the hard work you put into these streams. God bless. Well, thank you so much, Carlos. And Akul, I can't tell which flag that is. I apologize. Says, congrats on 50K. Keep going strong. Thank you so much, Akul. Really appreciate the $20 super chat. Oh my gosh, Altar Void just threw in $105. Whoa, brother, thank you so much. He says, I'm just helping out, but what if I still want the song? If you guys want the Pay Piggy song, I will give you Pay Piggy. Jay doesn't make hits just so that they sit on the shelf, right? He makes hits so people listen to them. If you guys need Pay Piggy, we will listen to Pay Piggy. Thank you so much, Altar Void, man. Really appreciate that generous support. And Raccoon throws in 5, says, need some Pay Piggy? Give me one more chance. Okay. All right. I'm going to have to pull up Pay Piggy. You guys keep going. Don't make me pull up Pay Piggy. All right, we're doing it. Let's just go here. Let's just go open up YouTube. Let's go J. Dyer Pay Piggy. Don't make me.
Creators, take these 3 apps.
Oh gosh, he's got ads on. I hope I doesn't get copyrighted. Jay's gonna hit me with the copyright strike for his all-time hit.
Pay Piggy. Pay Piggy. Don't make me go back to that 9 to 5. Wage cut ain't no way to be alive. Don't make me go back to 9 to 5. Wage cut ain't no way to be alive. Ooh, Pay Piggy. Just give me one more super chat. Pay Piggy. Just give me one more super chance. Pay Piggy. Just give me one more super chance. Pay Piggy. Just give me one. Ooh.
When I'm with my boo, 1 and 1 miss 2. Then it mix free. Yeah, we had the baby. She want Versace, she want Gucci. Gotta.
What's with the rapper? That's not Jay, is it?
I like this.
Pay Piggy. Ooh, Pay Piggy. Just give me one more super chat. Pay Piggy. Just give me one more super chance. Pay Piggy. Band-Aids don't give you AIDS. Pay Piggy. Just give me one more super chance. Pay Piggy. Just give me one more super chat. Pay Piggy.
Come on, Pay Piggies. All my Pay Piggies out there, help a brother out. Help a brother out. We reached 50K. Funky Monkey Love throws in 5, says, fellow slow boy Hoosier here. Love your vids. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Funky Monkey. Really appreciate you, bro. And Total Gravity throws in another 10, says, laugh out loud, Bill Gates getting mogged. Yeah. All right, we had some fun with Pay Piggy. Let's get back to thank you all so much again for the generous support, guys. I truly do appreciate it. We got another Pay Piggy up in here. Austin DeTulio throws in 5. Thank you so much, Mr. Pay Piggy. Do appreciate it. Don't make me talk to my Pay Piggies in Barry White voice. All right, next one is Epstein files reveal plot to overthrow Putin. Now, this is really interesting because what I'm being told by the mainstream media is that Epstein was actually working for Putin. So if Epstein was working for Putin, then why in the world would he want to overthrow Putin? So Jeffrey Epstein was working to overthrow Putin and install Russian Duma member Ilya Ponomarev as president. Boris Nikolic, a former advisor to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, wrote to Epstein in 2012 that Ponomarev was organizing uprisings against Putin and, quote, might replace Putin and become a president, unquote, if he wasn't killed first. He asked Epstein any idea how to help him. Ponomarev is currently in Ukraine planning attacks on Russia. Makes you wonder what other geopolitical operations Epstein was running. Now, to give context here, we've talked a little bit about why Ukraine might be important to a certain group of people. In previous streams, we've talked about Metropolitan Neophytos of Morphu referring to Zelensky as a Khazar, the Khazar leader in Ukraine. Now, if you connect Khazar, Zelensky, and a particular tribe of people, namely Ashkenazis, you might begin to get an understanding of why Ukraine actually has historical significance to a group of people. Now, there's emails talking with Epstein about how BlackRock and JP Morgan, how there's all these opportunities if they were able to sort of liberate Ukraine from essentially Russian hands, even though Russia didn't technically control. But it makes now interesting insight regarding some of the coup in the mid-2000s in Ukraine under Obama, so in 2014. So begins to make a little bit of some interesting sense here. Now I'm going to read the whole thing to you. And so let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it better. So it says, we should go to Russia and you should meet my friend Ilya Ponomarev. He is a member of the Duma, and he and Ilyona, his very smart and cute girlfriend, are the main organizer of the uprising against Putin. He represents Novosibirsk region, but leaves, I think it's supposed to be lives in Moscow, but it says leaves in Moscow. I'm afraid what will happen to him. The stakes are huge. He might replace Putin and become a president by himself. He will sooner or later if he does not killed before. Again, some of the grammar here is not great. He is super dangerous. Any idea how to help him? Not with Davos, but with other stuff in general. He is super smart and one of the most connected people in Russia. Please do not forward this email. So this makes zero sense based on what the mainstream media is telling us, that he is a Russian puppet, that somehow Epstein was working for Russia. That doesn't make any sense. I thought I had another thing. And this is kind of interesting, where a photo, what appears to be a younger Zelensky in the arms of Epstein. Now, I think that's AI, but Epstein, in an email to Peter Thiel, as you probably know, I represent the Rothschilds. Epstein to Ariana de Rothschild, the Ukraine upheaval should provide many opportunities. Many. Epstein, in a message to Larry Summers, Zelensky is looking for help. Putin is dismissive, saying he's being run by Israelis. Epstein's executive Nikolic to Epstein, we should go to Russia soon, and you should meet my friend Ilya Ponomarev. Western media and Ukrainians, Epstein worked for Putin. It makes no sense. It makes zero sense. And here's even Jay talking about it. Lying mainstream media, Epstein is a Russian agent. Jeffrey Epstein, you know I represent the Rothschilds. So this is to Peter Thiel. You know I represent the Rothschilds. I was hoping management can do something in tech. Best client list in the world. I'll be in Europe again from the 20th through the 28th, then Ireland. So if you want to come, if you would like to meet in Saudi at the end of the month, ? So we're going to get into Peter Thiel, because Peter Thiel claims that he had never met Epstein. But, and same with Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk has come out and tried to defend himself, but based on what the email reads, it sounds like Musk wanted to go to the parties. He specifically asked Epstein, when is the craziest party? And it sounds like, again, wanting to be invited and come to it. So Musk and Thiel haven't looked great in this whole thing. There's clearly a connection there. Here's our beloved Alex Jones talking about some of the recent fallout regarding things related to potentially Pizzagate.
There are new revelations every few seconds on X alone, with people going through the 3 million plus files, 1,000 photos, the 2,000 videos of world leaders naked at sex parties, all the stuff, references to Satan, Baal, Moloch, human sacrifice, his bank accounts having the name of biblical demons, plans to overthrow Putin, money laundering operations, and then just direct emails of Epstein saying, we have a delicious piece of pizza that's glowing and warm and has a really good time. And 7 of us are going to share the pizza. And then the people getting back saying, thank you, that piece of pizza was amazing. I want to do it again. Other people, when they're invited back, saying, I'm having nightmares and seeing shadows. Sorry, I'm tapping out. Epstein saying, yeah, everybody doesn't get it. Whoa. Aleister Crowley stuff. All the same type of crap that's in the WikiLeaks. The real Pizzagate stuff. And again, it's centered around New York. Podesta, the 7-year-old, 9-year-old, 11-year-old are well-trained. They're being delivered to the hot tub at the secluded farm with the pool. The pool will be heated in the hot tub, obviously. And remember, they're well-trained, but they are children. And it goes on and on and on.
Now, this is what's so interesting. Now, it's just a quick clip. That's all I want to show you about that. But this is what I find so interesting about all this stuff is because Epstein was like spiritual, right? So he's doing these incredibly depraved stuff. Like when we watch the part of the interview with Steve Bannon, has no guilt whatsoever. And yet he's criticizing science because it can't measure the soul and talking about intuition and sort of mysticism. And you look at like the temple that was on Epstein Island. You look at how it appeared, the background of Ellen DeGeneres, her TV talk show, appeared to represent the temple there at Epstein Island. And you begin to wonder, he's mocking, the Gentile, the Goya, Madonna, being a Hollywood, one of these Gentiles that wants to publicly convert to Judaism. And so many of his messages are very explicit about Jewish identity and how Jews are essentially ethnically superior. And then you hear about like what Alex Jones was mentioning about messages with the pizza and him telling people who are like tapping out because it's so deranged that, yeah, not everybody gets it. You start thinking, and then, these accounts, the people that work for him says he would like strangle girls during fornicating with them and then bury them. If this guy was spiritual, this is pure Satanism. This is pure Satanism. Right? That's what's so astonishing. If this guy was like really interested in quantum mechanics and believes in the soul and, in human intuition and sort of supernatural abilities, and yet he's doing these depraved things with girls, and we're talking about satanic pedophile elite doing human sacrifice and actual satanic rituals. Well, that actually seems quite plausible at this point. It actually seems plausible based on the stuff he says. Now, Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons, his name was mentioned in the Epstein files, and it begins to make you think, all the stuff about how the Simpsons TV show, cartoon was able to predict events that they had no idea were going to happen. Well, what if Matt was on Epstein Island and was just with all these people and knew what was going on? Now, this was recently going around. So a line from The Simpsons aired 26 years ago and reads, "Warning, some creepy figures on an island are secretly running the world." Which is, again, the irony here is that the founder of The Simpsons has now been implicated at going to the Epstein Island. So what if it wasn't predicting the future? What if he was just in on the fact that they planned on Trump running, right? They knew Trump was going to go down the stairs. That's a famous one, in 2016. Maybe he already knew about 9/11. Maybe he already knew about certain things, and that the entire point of The Simpsons is predictive programming. What if Matt Groening, the founder of The Simpsons, his whole purpose and relationship to this network is to do predictive programming through The Simpsons? Makes sense. Again, can't prove it, but it begins to make a little sense. Epstein's lawyers offered cooperation. Looks like Epstein considered ratting everyone out, and then, interestingly enough, 2 weeks later, he was dead. Now, how the heck did that happen? Epstein files suggest that Biden faced the firing squad. Now, this is really interesting. In 2019, and that the Biden that was president from 2020 to 2024 was an actor. Central casting. Now, again, this was a huge conspiracy during the Biden administration, that Biden had one of those masks on, that he was taller, that his earlobes were different than they had previously been. Again, I don't know what the sophistication level of these masks are now, if this is totally plausible or not. But this is what was in the Epstein email here. So, talks about maritime law is coming and the selling and owning of humans and human souls is over. There's factual evidence on the methods of operation for how law and legal proceedings will work next. I do encourage you to watch the video and understand how common laws are going away. So quit fiddling your pussy and call. And who has so much info that will incriminate you that when he deletes it, we'll find it on the quantum system that this great gentleman has made very clear in the video above. And then it says, Biden is not your current president. The mask malfunctions on Biden are getting worse each day on purpose. This will end badly for blank, who is posing with a effing clone on Facebook. The dude playing Biden ain't Biden. The real Biden was an evil, sick, angry man who abused children, including his own children. That's an actor with an effing mask. We've been over this 1,000 times. It's never going to change. Biden is shot. 2019 firing squad. Now, is that true? I don't know. But it's here. It's interesting. It's certainly interesting. So take that for what it is. It's very possible. I mean, if I could see Jill Biden, I could see the Biden family covering this up for political power. Now, I did watch some of the Hunter Biden interview on Sean Ryan. Did you guys check that out? It was an interesting interview. Ironically, Hunter Biden comes across as more relatable than you would think. And he's like anti-immigration. Like he's speaking out against black and white, like interracial couples in commercials. Hunter Biden's talking about the problem with immigration. He's talking about like white American heritage. Now, is this all some political? Very possible. Very possible. I'm not here to defend Hunter Biden. But I wonder, like, what if he does know that his dad's dead? It would make sense why he would maybe counter-signal everything that his dad's presidency just stood for right when Trump goes in office. I don't know. But thought it was newsworthy. Next one. No shock here. TMZ founder Harvey Levin is named in the Epstein files, described as, quote, a good friend who could help run a global PR effort to defend convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein and smear his victims/accusers. Yet TMZ has stayed eerily silent on the entire document dump. Isn't that funny? They want to go after ICE agents. TMZ's so focused on trying to help dox ICE agents and counter-signal what ICE is trying to do regarding illegal immigration, that they can't even address the fact that their founder was part of the Epstein Club. It says, tried to call you. Harvey Levin, who runs TMZ, is a good friend. They haven't reported on this at all, but I might be able to get him to do something on the Duchess and her backpedaling. And this is to Mike Citrick. I'll save for right time. This is from now Epstein. Zuckerman suggested shorter and punchier. No attack on press. Plead guilty to solicitation. No tabloid exaggeration of pedophilia. Geopolitics paid a price. No allegations of minors since '05. Suggests leaking to London press the absurdity of Fergie's settlements. There were law enforcement people in my office when I was on work release that let her in. So, But yeah, interesting that TMZ doesn't have the time to cover something like that. Are you guys surprised? Are you shocked? Now, this was going around yesterday of Jeffrey Epstein filming the herpes all over his mouth. So this is Jeffrey Epstein was so sick that he would take selfie videos of his mouth covered in herpes sores. He was so vain that he didn't care if people saw him like that. So look, you can see how his face is swollen right here. It's got something going on. Look how thick his lip is from herpes. Another time, look how inflamed the side of his mouth is from herpes. I mean, it's almost purple over here. Pretty disgusting. Pretty disgusting. And imagine how many girls got STDs from him. That's what's so disturbing about it. That's partly what is so damn disturbing about all of it. Austin DiTullio throws another pay piggy. Pay piggy. Throws in 5. Thank you very much, Austin. God bless you. Altar Void, dude, God bless you, man. Thanks for the very generous support today. He says, what the F happened to Pay Piggy? Is this like one of those old 900 numbers I have to pay per minute now? Yeah, pretty much, actually. That's actually, you're spot on there, Altar Void. Thank you so much, brother, for the support, legitimately. Broccoli throws in 20, says, for the grift. Thank you, Dr. DPH. Well, thank you very much, Broccoli. Tapio throws in 2, says, DPH got that dog in him. Congrats, bro. Thank you so much, Tapio. God bless you, brother. God bless you and your family. Darth Grumpy Dad throws in 5, says, if you want to grift songs, hit Rob Noir up for Where There's a Whip, There's a Way song. Wheel Library. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Rob's a good dude. I was able to meet him in Nashville. He's a funny guy. I like Rob. Nicholas Powell throws in a generous 50. Thank you so much, Nicholas. He said, God bless you, sir. Congratulations. Well, thank you very much for the generous support. Coleman throws in 5, says, got your book last week and have been loving the content. Thank you for all your work, Dr. DPH. Well, thank you so much, Coleman. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Really been appreciating people have emailed me regarding the book and what they feel about it. If anybody hasn't got it, here's a link. You can get a signed copy through my website, or you can get it through Amazon. Search Return to Babylon from Adam to Antichrist. Really appreciate that, Coleman. Thank you very much, man. I spent a lot of time on that book. If you appreciate my live streams, like one live stream is about 15 pages of content in the book. It's very, very dense. But I think it's readable. Everybody has told me it's very dense and academic, but it's very readable for an academic book. So thank you very much, Coleman. And Based throws in 5, says, Pay Piggy checking in. Congrats on 50. Glory to God. Well, thank you so much, Based. Seriously, glory to God for the opportunity. I mean, one of the things I always pray about, and I give God thanks for, is the opportunity. The fact that I have an opportunity to take what I love to do, which is research and educate about topics, and do this for a living online. Like, I feel so incredibly thankful that God has given me the opportunity. So, yeah, all glory to God for achieving the milestone of 50,000. Next stop, 100,000 for sure. Assyrian King throws in 10, said, did Epstein create Bitcoin? God bless you, brother. Pray for the Assyrians to come to Eastern Orthodoxy. Did Epstein create Bitcoin? I don't believe he created Bitcoin. No, I do not. Was he interested? Was he using Bitcoin? I believe in the Epstein files, we have evidence that he was using Bitcoin. And is there evidence that he was wanting to incorporate Bitcoin into potentially the financial system? yeah, there's potential. I saw one thing, and I should have read more on it, but regarding Bitcoin, I saw something today scrolling through X about this was regarding the Epstein files. I'm paraphrasing here, but it had something to do with Bitcoin being a leveraging asset for the elite billionaires and millionaire class, that they could sort of move assets into Bitcoin to preserve wealth, what they believe to be as a potential financial restructuring or financial collapse or inflation through the dollar or something of that sort. So it seemed like Epstein was pro-Bitcoin. I don't know if he created it, though. I don't think that. That seems fallacious. Yeah, I don't know where you heard him creating Bitcoin at. Jay's in the chat. He said, yeah, he was interested in every tech. Yeah, that was, I don't know if you guys watched the interview. Again, we're going to watch clips of it. He was very much up to speed on a lot of the latest tech. And it makes sense why he had, as I told you earlier at the beginning of the stream, had such intimate connections with mathematicians, physicists, astrophysicists, scientists, biologists. He, again, what I took from the Steve Bannon interview is like, he really does view himself as like a genius, like a true financial genius in the spirit of Isaac Newton or something. So Jay said, there is a great interview with Simon Dixon on Bitcoin sessions on this day. Oh, I'll have to check that out. That's something that I'd like to listen to. Yeah, so go check that out, guys. If you want to hear more about this particular topic of Epstein and Bitcoin, Jay said there's a great interview with Simon Dixon on Bitcoin sessions, and this was released today. So check that out if you guys are interested. No, I do not believe Jeffrey Epstein. I haven't even heard that theory. I haven't even heard that theory. Was he using Bitcoin? Was he interested in Bitcoin? Yeah. And 253 Monty throws in 10. Thank you very much. He says, congrats on 50K. Well deserved. Thank you very much. Okay. So, other than Epstein with all of his herpes, let's go on to the next one. That is George Clooney. You know, the famous American actor, sort of silver fox, as some women like to refer to him as. He hunted for underage girls, has recently come out. This was what I found today. It was kind of going around the internet. With Epstein in Europe, according to a newly released DOJ files. He did this in 2014, several years after Epstein had been convicted on a string of pedophile-related crimes. And so it goes into a whole article. I'm not going to read the article to you, but I thought it was newsworthy to bring up the fact that George Clooney, again, he's the one that did the whole fundraiser with Biden and Obama. Some people speculated that Clooney was upset with the fact that Biden had so much dementia. Again, whether he was fake or not, who really knows? But certainly a Democrat operative. Now, one of the interesting things I've been trying to freaking parse regarding the whole Epstein stuff is Steve Bannon's relationship to Epstein, because you listen to the interview and you can't help, and maybe Bannon was just talking him up, but he talks to Epstein about Epstein as if he is a genius, a financial genius. He is some like financial guru wizard type figure. And it's not super tense like the interview. It's not like a hard-pressing interview. It's more like allowing Jeffrey to sort of tell his story. And this is after he'd already been convicted of his own sex crimes. And, basically had a slap on the wrist in the Southern District of Florida. So Steve has been really good. We've been talking about geopolitics. I mean, the last year and a half. Geopolitics, culture war issues, calling out Israel. He's been one of the guys that I thought, wow, out of the boomers, out of some of the old vanguard in the media, he's pretty much on point. And then with some of the text message, just like with the text message, we looked at the Melinda chick that was, what was her name? The the girl Madeleine Westerhout, who was having sexual relations with Trump, you look at these text messages like, well, Steve appears to have a very friendly relationship with Epstein. But anyways, this one right here, in response to Steve Bannon being removed, if you remember at the beginning of the first Trump administration, Steve Bannon was massively influential with his like 3, 4, 5 pins that he has like sliding in his shirt. I don't know why he does. And he wears 2 button-ups inside of each other. So if you like look right here, I don't understand it exactly, but he's got a button-up over a button-up over a t-shirt, and he's probably got a bunch of pins in there. I'm not exactly sure what the fashion statement is or if it's a trend or something. But anyways, he's typically pretty good on a lot of topics. But in this one message here, Epstein says, war between the Jews and the non-Jews. This is in 2017 when Steve Bannon, who was incredibly influential and central in the Trump administration, especially getting Trump elected, gets let go after a year in the administration. He says there is a war between the Jews and the non-Jews, and the Jews are presently winning. This is what Jeffrey Epstein wrote to Michael Wolff, it's from Michael Wolff to Jeffrey Epstein. And I just thought this would be an interesting time to just give a little bit of a refresher. This is a refresher. Maybe hard to hear, actually. I didn't think about that going through the speaker. This is Billy Graham and Richard Nixon talking about this stranglehold the Jews have on the banks and the media has got to be broken or this country is going to go down the drain. Richard Nixon, I could never say it, but I believe it. And so I don't know if, well, let me see if you can anyone to understand them.
It happened in Spain, it's happened in Germany, it's happening, and now it's going to happen in America.
He says, this anti-Semitism is stronger than we think, you know. It's unfortunate, but it has happened to the Jews. Happened in Spain, it's happened in Germany, it's happening. And now it's going to happen in America if these people don't start behaving. It may be they have a death wish, you know. That's been the problem with our Jewish friends for centuries. Well, they've always been, this is Billy Graham, they've always been through the Bible, at least, God's timepiece, and he has judged them for generation to generation, and yet used them, and they've kept their identity. And he said, you see, the Bible makes a distinction, Mr. President. Those people in the latter days, and nearly all of your religions, in other words, they are energized by a supernatural power called the devil.
This is what the Bible teaches, whether you believe it or don't believe it. This is the biblical teaching, and this is what I believe. And I believe that they have a strange brilliance about them. Oh, they're smart, and they are energized, in my judgment, by a supernatural power.
Well, also they do something else. They're not smart.
And you see, of course, Hitler didn't. They had a stranglehold on Germany, on the banking of Germany, on everything in Germany, and they had the whole thing. You see, but he went about it wrong. But this stranglehold has got to be broken, or this country is going to go down the drain.
You believe that?
Yes, sir.
I can't ever say it, but I believe it.
No, but if you get elected the second time, you might be able to do something. Whether we like it or not, everybody thinks of you as conservative, and then when you lean a little bit in that direction toward the sociological thing is the big thing.
It's all right.
What's that?
It's all right to lean in that direction. Huh?
You have to, or the whole thing will be closed to you. You know, I mean, I don't care how conservative. I'm sure I'm more conservative than you are. At least you told me that one time, and I think that's true. But I have to lean a little bit. You know, I go and I keep friends with Mr. Rosenthal at the New York Times and people of that sort, you know. And not all the Jews, but a lot of the Jews are great friends of mine. They swarm around me and they're friendly to me because they know that I'm friendly to Israel. But they don't know how I really feel about what they're doing to this country. And I have no power, no way to handle them. But I would stand up if you know, under proper circumstances.
So, interesting little audio there if you guys had never heard that before. Jay sent in $10, says there was the great interview. Let me pull it up for you guys. So this is Bitcoin Sessions and Simon Dixon. I'm going to copy. And this is, right here.
All right, everybody, get in.
So if you guys want to check this out, I'm going to share that link for you guys right now. So anybody in the chat, put that in your web browser, pull it up as a tab, then you guys can save it later when we finish here. Thank you very much, Jay. Really appreciate the support, brother. Thank you so much for the generous support today, man. Really appreciate it. This channel would not be at 50K if it wasn't for some of the help that Jay's extended me over the years. He's been a good friend to me really since like 2020, very, very early in this YouTube channel. I first got in contact with Jay when he debated, what was it? It's like the Kraken or something. It was like some Catholic apologist. And I had just started the YouTube channel, and he destroyed this guy in a debate. And I just reviewed the debate, and that was the first time I got in contact with Jay, and we chatted. And he's been a great friend ever since. So I appreciate you, Jay. Appreciate your friendship. God bless you and Jamie. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you, man. So, guys, yeah, check this out. I'm going to watch this later, actually. I'm very interested to hear about it. Okay. So that was a little bit of Richard Nixon and Billy Graham regarding what they believe to be as a unique power struggle in the United States. And then this is a clip from Peter Thiel talking about Epstein, claiming that he really never hung out or spoke much with Epstein. Turns out to not be the case.
I met Epstein a few times as well, and I think...
How'd you get introduced?
It was Reid Hoffman in Silicon Valley introduced us in 2014, but it was basically, and I didn't ask enough questions about it.
I cannot listen. Like Elon Musk, Alex Soros, Peter Thiel, they have to be some of the worst public speakers. Is it the autism? Is it the tism that got him? Why is it that why is it so difficult? The Kurgan, that's what it was. Jay corrected me in the chat. The Kraken is the Kurgan. I couldn't remember the guy's name, man. I couldn't remember the guy's name. It was the Kurgan. Yeah. No, that was hilarious. Thank you so much, Austin DeTulio, for the $5 super chat. God bless you, bro. Pay Piggy. Kraken is good rum, yeah. The Kurgan. I couldn't remember. I thought it was the Kraken.
But I think there were sort of a lot of things where it was fraudulent. I do think Epstein knew a lot about taxes, and there were probably, these complicated ways you could structure a nonprofit organization, especially as a way in a marital context that I think Epstein might have known a decent amount about.
How, when you were introduced to him?
I don't think Epstein would have been able to, comment on superstring theory or something like that. Right. But I think this sort of thing he might have actually been pretty expert on.
When you were introduced to him, how was he described to you?
Which is interesting because if you listen to the interview with Steve Bannon and Epstein, he does comment on superstring theory and quantum physics, and he talks like he's in conversations with the people leading these fields, which is an interesting comment for Thiel to make when, if you just listen to him, that's clearly a topic he's very interested in.
He was described as one of the smartest tax people in the world.
Interesting.
And I probably was my moral weakness that I.
Well, how could you have known back then? He had never been arrested.
No, this was 2014. It was post arrest.
Oh, so his arrest was the first arrest, right?
Yeah,
which was like 2000.
07, 08.
Okay. And so,
but you assume he didn't go to jail for that long.
Right.
It was probably not as serious as alleged. There was certainly the illusion that there were all these other people that I trusted. Reed, who introduced us, was, he started LinkedIn. He was, maybe too focused on business networking, but I thought he always had good judgment in people.
When the shit went down and Epstein gets arrested for the second time, were you like, oh, well, there you go?
I've thought about it.
So what it's showing above is an email from May 19th, 2024. Let me just pause it. 2024 at 10:37 a.m. to Peter Thiel from Jeffrey Epstein saying, "That was fun. See you in 3 weeks," which seems very different than just some friendly tax advice. Here's something that I saw today, too, is that Turkey has been accused of selling thousands of underage children to Epstein for $200 million. Now, I can't verify that, but I haven't seen Grok. A lot of people ask Grok, is this true? Okay, Grok says, no, this specific claim isn't supported by evidence. Recent Epstein documents mentioning unverified allegations of minors from Turkey. Nothing about thousands or a 200 million sale. It appears to be an exaggeration circulating online. But there is evidence that okay, so there's unverified allegations of minors from Turkey and other countries. Okay. Interesting. This is a conversation now related to Peter Thiel, who we just listened to. This is Jeffrey Epstein talking to former Israeli Prime Minister Barak about Palantir, which is, I thought, very interesting.
He thought there was two cyber companies. Look out, and even though I know Peter, I've never met Peter Thiel, and everybody says he sort of jumps around. And
so this audio has to be before May 2014. Unless he's just lying, but it makes you think that if he's not lying, he's honest to the Prime Minister of Israel. This is before May of 2014.
And then acts sort of strange, like he's on drugs.
Smoking, yeah. He looks under drugs.
However, he has a company called Palantir, Pallen Tier, Palantir.
Which is funny because he totally misspells it too, and this is kind of late. I mean, I don't know how early it is, but he should. Again, I think head Barak, he had spent time in head of the Mossad, the intelligence agencies of Israel. The fact that he didn't know who Palantir was, I thought was strange. But then I thought it was funny that Epstein totally misspells Palantir, and he again kind of prides himself on how intelligent he is.
Peter Thiel's company, and look out.
Palantir, P-A-L-A-N-T-I-E-L?
Yes.
How you write Thiel? T-H-I-E-L-L-Y?
T-H-I-E-L.
L-L-Y?
No. T-H-I-E-L-L.
Okay.
So he thought that Peter would put you on the board of Palantir. Peter Thiel is one of the best. I've never met him. He's going to come here next week. So I wanted to talk to him after I talked to you. Okay. He and Andreessen, it's called Andreessen Horowitz. Andreessen Horowitz, they pay Larry $1 million a year just to advise them.
Andreas and?
A-N-D-R-E-E-S-O-N, Andreessen, and Horowitz.
And Howard?
H-O-R-O, Horowitz.
What they are? They're lobbyists. What they are?
They are the biggest venture capital people in Silicon Valley.
What, bigger than Sequoia or Planet
These are the new Kleiner Perkins. Everybody, these are the smart boys. Mm-hmm. So those two companies right away, in terms of, I said that we need now in the next 3 weeks if you're going to leave.
So Epstein selling Palantir to Ehud Barak. Interesting little find. And then this email makes it sound like Peter Thiel was no stranger to Epstein's island. Epstein casually drops, if you want to come around the world going west, come to the island. then invites him to come to the island while planning trips through Europe. Till replies like it's nothing, should be back on East Coast in late April, May, sometime in New York City or on island then. That doesn't sound like a guy who'd never been to the island who only asked for some friendly tax advice. So this is from Peter Thiel to Jeffrey Epstein. Certainly not in Saudi. Just think I will avoid the Middle East for the next decade or so. Should be back on East Coast in late April, May, sometime in New York City or on island. Then from Jeffrey Epstein, as you probably know, I represent the Rothschilds. I was hoping to figure out a way for the bank that has a 600B in management can do something in tech. Best client list in the world, prehistoric products. I can't wait. Good luck in China. I'll be in Europe again from the 20th to the 28th. Then island. Sounds like his island, Little St. James. So if you want to come around the world going west, come to the island. Or if you would like to meet in Saudi at the end of the month. Will be hard as I'm scrambling, this is from Peter Thiel, on getting ready for China, March 14th to the 25th. Anyone else in New Mexico? I'm in New Mexico 3 and 4th if you would like to visit. Epstein to Peter Thiel. Aha. So, was Peter Thiel honest that he had never met Epstein and that he only knew of him as a guy that gave friendly tax advice? Very interesting. Here is from another one. Someone reported a viral video of Jeffrey Epstein burning a naked girl with a magnifying glass. She looked around 11 to 13 years old and was tied to the ground. This is the FBI report. Details. Dale Martin, date of birth redacted, called the FBI National Threat Operations Center to report a viral video of what appears to be Jeffrey Epstein torturing a young woman with a magnifying glass. Martin provided the following information. Martin's daughter, Jessica McQueen, date of birth redacted, sent Martin a piece of a video of what appeared to be a young white female aged 11 to 13 years old with dark-colored hair, tied down and naked. The victim is tied to the ground and spread eagle with a man who appears to be Jeffrey Epstein holding a magnifying glass with a claw and burning the victim. Martin described the video as being blurry. However, the male subject appeared to be a very large man with gray hair wearing jeans, a short-sleeved black shirt, and white tennis shoes. Martin stated Facebook would not take the video down. In the frame of the video, it says Epstein. However, the video is blurry. Martin advised that McQueen did not feel comfortable reporting the information. However, her friends are reporting it. So that's some pretty sadistic shit. You tie a 11 to 13-year-old girl down and burn her with a magnifying glass. This is one of the ones that I thought was one of the most interesting potentialities coming out of the Epstein files, and that is, who is Zoran Mamdani? One of the things that have come out is that Mamdani's mother had a very friendly relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And here's a photo of Mamdani and his mother with Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, and Jeff Bezos. A lot of money and power right there. His mother was like a filmmaker, and there was speculation, although again, this is total speculation. I didn't see any physical evidence for this. But there's speculation that Epstein may be the biological father of Zoran Mamdani. Could it be? Is it possible? Could that be the case? So who knows? But we do know that his mother is named in the Epstein files. That is a fact. You can, again, if you just pull it up, you can see more of it. This is what it says. Just left Ghislaine's townhouse after a party for film. Bill Clinton, Jeff Bezos were there. Jean Pigozzi, director Mira Nair, that is Mamdani's mother, Film received tepid reaction, although women like it much more. Hilary Swank in gear at stupid party in Bloomingdale's cheap sportswear department. Very weird. Studio went for free party from store and windows for a month. Going to be in Wall Street tomorrow. More to come. So that is from Peggy Siegel. So again, who knows, but it is interesting nonetheless. Next one. It was today years old when I found out Mamdani's mom was married to an Epstein. They're selected, not elected. Zoran Mamdani's mother, Mira Nair's first husband, was Jewish photographer Mitch Epstein from 1981 until their divorce around 1989. And here you can see... Small world, isn't it? Small little world it is. A former employee of Jeffrey Epstein says he buried the bodies of 2 girls near Zorro Ranch after strangling them to death during sex. The employee provided evidence of Epstein having sex with minors and an audio confession from a girl who attempted suicide. So it says, Edward, this is sensitive. So it will be the first and last email depending on your discretion. You can choose to take it or trash it, but this comes from a person that has been there and seen it all as a former staff at the Zorro. The material below was taken from Jeffrey Epstein's home as my insurance in case of future litigation against Epstein. Sorry, no questions. What is damning about Jeffrey Epstein is yet to be written. Did you know somewhere in the hills outside of Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G? Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex. Here are the video footage of Jeffrey Epstein. Video with minor, video with girl, threesomes, underage girl, girl from Bay Area suicide attempt confession to Madam G. Please arrange for 1 Bitcoin by 6 p.m. today, Thursday, November 22nd, 2019, to this Bitcoin wallet. So interesting. Epstein emails prove the entire Greek debt crisis was fabricated to save German and French banks. 90% of the payments to Greece actually go to the German and French banks who made risky investments and want to be paid off. So in effect, the Greeks are paying the northern banks for debts that the people never incurred. Little interesting find there, somewhat tangentially related to the Orthodox world. The only other thing I saw floating around about Orthodox Christianity was how Orthodoxy in Eastern Europe was sort of a last bastion resistance against some of their globalist plans. But I haven't seen anything too specific. Here's a retired Mossad agent, Ari Ben Menashe, stating the entire Epstein Island operation was an intelligence mission aimed at entrapping politicians, celebrities, media figures, and decision makers through sexual blackmail, recruiting them as Israeli agents. So exactly what all the conspiracy theorists said.
5 years ago. Now, Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell, there are reports she's in Paris. You maintain that it was your employer, Robert Maxwell, owner of the Daily Mirror. You say that he was an Israeli agent, and as was his daughter.
He was not my employer. I would like to correct that.
Okay.
We worked together with him.
And you say that his daughter, Ghislaine, also, though, worked for Israel, and it was Robert Maxwell who introduced Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell way before the 1990s, as mainstream media is reporting.
Correct. Mr. Epstein was introduced to Ms. Maxwell probably sometime in the 80s. And Mr. Maxwell also thought he might be introducing a fellow to date his daughter. He tried to do a favor to his daughter, to find her a shidduch, as they say in Hebrew, a match.
Okay, and that didn't really quite work out. I suppose what the most alarming allegations that you've been making are that the entire Epstein operation was a honey trap operation to entrap politicians, policymakers, celebrities, people in the media eye, basically to become Israel's assets.
Correct. That it became basically an intelligence operation to entrap different politicians around the world.
So there you have it, right out of the horse's mouth. Everything that the conspiracy theorists talked about, what Whitney Webb's book describes. And here, Jeffrey Epstein files contain many crude anti-Catholic jokes. And one, his brother jokes about a man converting on his deathbed because it is better if Catholics die instead of one of the Jews. And so here's the joke that Mark Epstein, Jeff's brother, says. An old Jewish guy is dying in the hospital. He says to his devoted son, who is by his side, quote, "I think it's time. Call in the priest." The son says, "Dad, you've been a Jew your whole life. You want to convert now?" And the father says, "Yeah, better one of them goes instead of one of us." Oh, interesting little thing there. So before we get into some of the documentary here of the interview of Steve Bannon with Jeffrey Epstein, just want to remind everyone to smash that like. If any of the guys out there want to be part of a select group of serious men, serious thinkers, we're going to be covering Chapter 5 of the Orthodox Survival Course tomorrow night. We'll be going over the Enlightenment Part 2. All those previous meetings are recorded. You can catch up very easily. If you'd like to be part of our group, we'd love to have you. Go sign up over at the Logos Academy. Again, we meet tomorrow night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, we need 25 more Super Chats. Where's my pay piggies? We need 24 more Super Chats to reach the 50 Super Chat goal for a 50K celebration stream, guys. 50,000 subscribers. So, again, $5 or more. $5 or more. We need 24 more to reach 50. What about brothers and sisters? Huh? I don't know what you're talking about, Baron. All right. Edward Longshanks throws in a generous $10, says, "I just converted to Islam, but don't have any..." That's what the Baron was referring to. Okay, that's what the Baron was referring to. I just converted to Islam, but I don't have any cousins to marry. The Islamic Dilemma Part 2. Well, as Baron suggested, you don't have any brothers or sisters? Oh, gosh. That's hilarious. Austin DeTulio, my ultimate pay piggy, throwing in another 5. Thank you so much, Austin. God bless you, bro. And Brady Harvey throws in 10 for the goal. That's right. That's right. We got to reach the goal, guys. How many streams have I done to try to finally get to 50K? Let's see here. Youngless Revival throws in 25 over on Streamlabs, or Dono Chat, I'm sorry. Says, "Congrats on the 50K. Thank you so much." He says, "Been watching you for a good bit now, and I noticed the larger number of viewers on your streams. Good to see it paying off." Well, glory to God. People love the drama alerts. So I've been doing a little bit more drama alerts because I know you got to give what the people want, you know? And I know what you guys want. You want the drama. You want me to spill a little tea on the evening. You want me to catch you up so you don't have to sit and doom scroll all the news. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to catch you guys up, bring you up to speed. Again, as Jay always says, we're here to do your guys' homework for you. So you watch Jay stream on Epstein, he'll catch you up on all the stuff. We'll give you a part of the high points, the things that I think are most interesting and most insightful from an Orthodox Christian perspective. 253 Monty throws in another 5, says, I'll try my best to be a pay piggy tonight. Well, thank you very much. Gosh. You know, pay piggy is actually an honor. You know, this is something you guys can put on your resume. It shows true devotion. It shows loyalty, shows commitment, shows support. This is a resume builder, if anything. I'm actually helping you guys out. You helping me reach 50 super chats is really my opportunity to help you. So tithe, send in your tithing. This is the Church of the Eternal Logos. Time to tithe. Michael throws in 10, no comment. Thank you very much, Michael. God bless you. Vigo throws in 5, no comment. Thank you very much, Vigo. So we're down to 9. 9 for the goal, guys. 9 more for the goal. Where's the pay piggies at? Where's the pay piggies? You want me to get into Epstein Bannon interview? We got 10 more minutes for 9 more super chats. We literally have 9 minutes left. Show me that you love me with acts of love. I don't know what your love language is, but the only language that we can use here is gift giving. That's right. Austin's telling you guys, keep those super chats rolling in. We just need 9 more to reach the 50 super chat goal. Shay Ha throws in $2. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your support. 9 more. Exactly. Show me the money. Show me the money. Exactly. Nagging the chat. Is this not how grifting works? Is this not how the grifters grift? Is this not how the grifters grift? All right. I want to show you this first little clip here of Epstein. And this is to give you context of the interview. Here we go. Blaze throws in 5, says, glory to God. Glory to God. To give context of this, Super Nick says, I'm grifting very well. Well, thank you very much for that. Oh, here we go. George Soras throws in 5. Congrats on 50K. Thank you very much, George Soras. Do appreciate it. Total Gravity throws in 5, says, Shumani. Thank you for the Shumani, bub. Austin DeTulio throws in. He's been the pay piggy tonight. He's been holding it down. Throws in another 5. No comment. And Monty says, one more because I've been watching you since 2020, but primarily lurking. Dude, you've been a long-time viewer then. If you've been around since 2020, those are early days. Those are like 1,000, 2,000 subscriber days. Those are like, 30 live viewer days, 25 live viewers. If I got 40 to 50, I thought it was a pretty good stream when I first started. Tapio throws in 2. Thank you very much, Tapio. 4 more teal super chats, and we've hit the goal. We got 6 minutes. 6 minutes to achieve a goal. A goal of 50 super chats. Baron says, I'd like to thank everyone for financially supporting my freeloading. Thank you so much. Grace Son throws in 5, says 5 shekels for you. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Grace Son. God bless you and your family. Exactly. DPH getting his Jew on. Vigo throws in another 5, says Koofgate was 6-7 years ago. I know. Imagine that, guys. 6 years ago was COVID. 6 years ago. That literally feels like 2 years ago. It does not feel like that long. It does not feel like that long at all. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, homie. Thanks, bro. Kristen says, let's effing go. $2 more. Thank you so much, sister. And L2A says, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, homie. Well, what if you are the doctor? What does an apple a day do then? To thee we sing throws in 20. Thank you so much. No comment. Gosh, thank you so much for your generous support today. To thee we sing. Really appreciate you. Along with Altar Void, very generous support today. Thank you so much for the 5. He says, come on, pay pigs. I'm not even a sub here. I'm just stopping by. Well, thank you. Well, please subscribe, Altar Void. You've been very supportive and generous today, man. Thank you very much. Do click the subscribe button. We'd love to have you back. Michael throws in 5, says, keep them coming, boys. And Brady Harvey throws in 10, says, don't say teal super chat, say $5 American. Make the foreigners do the math. And 1 foot out the door throws in 5, says, here's to another 50,000. Thank you so much, brother. And lasagna throws in 5. I think that's the goal, guys. We have reached the goal. The goal has been accomplished. You guys have done your part. Thank you so very much. Like, legitimately, from the bottom of my heart. It's not just the super chats today. It's everyone who's subscribed, everyone who's supported it, all the people in the live chat, the people who watch the views, who click the like button. Thank you guys so very much for everything. Legitimately thankful from the bottom of my heart for all you guys. Magnified throws in 5, says, you demand DPH. Shout out to the chat for the gifted sub, enjoying the membership vids. Well, thank you very much, Magnified. And Steve the Turd throws in 10, says, love the content, DPH. Please keep the logos chat in your prayers. Absolutely. Steve the Turd, thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate the support. And thank you, everyone. Like, thank you for being here and supporting my work, supporting the YouTube channel, supporting the milestone that we've just reached of 50,000 subs. I'm excited for the future, man. I'm excited for this year. I'm not optimistic globally. I'm not optimistic regarding the government or the US dollar, but I'm so optimistic regarding my life, and I think you guys should be too. So thank you guys so very much. All right, now that we've reached the goal, let's go ahead and complete and finish our stream here. The thing that I want to show you guys is this little section right here. So remind you, Steve Bannon interviewing Jeffrey Epstein. And they had already done all this interview here. You can see Epstein wearing a different shirt. This was from earlier in the interview. He changes glasses and he changes his shirt. He says he's experimenting. And earlier in the interview, Steve Bannon asked him when Lehman Brothers went under and the whole financial crisis of 2008 was happening, where were you? Epstein responds, I was in my jail cell, and that he didn't hear about it except from a prison guard who wanted financial advice due to what was going on with Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers. He says then he made phone calls. He talked with Bear Stearns, he talked with Lehman Brothers, he talked with JP Morgan, and he basically found out what was exactly going on with these subprime mortgages in the 2008 financial crisis. And Bannon says, at any point did you reflect and think, how the hell did I get here? What wrong decisions did I make to be arrested and charged with the sexual abuse of these young girls? Like, how am I this is how Bannon phrased him, the most, intelligent financial analyst in the world, and yet you're sitting in a jail cell because you were fondling little girls. And every single time Epstein refused to have it be at anything. He's like, there's nothing different. It was just interesting. At one point he said it was kind of weird, it's kind of cool. And this was earlier in the interview. So now Bannon comes back and brings this point up again, and I want you guys to hear it.
There's no time. I got to go back to this because I'm like a dog with a bone in this thing.
Yes.
You can't. There's something deeply fucked up with you.
At least something.
Well, we know there are.
Did you hear that? Because Bannon's blown away that he has no guilt, no remorse, never at no point was he ever reflective or repentant for any action he did. And he's like, there's something really effed up with you.
There are things deeply fucked up with this. You will get through in this film, right. But You cannot possibly have to sit there knowing that you came from nowhere, knowing that you went to the very top of what is considered outside of science and maybe physics, the thing people most admire because it's like alchemy, understanding high finance. To sit there in what will be the defining financial crisis of our time, like Black Friday or Black Monday, whatever it was, in the Great Depression, and be there at that exact moment, triggered in part by a firm that you used to be a partner in and knew intimately well, and it created much of your initial net worth because of, and know that you couldn't, someone who lives on a phone, right?
Yes.
Because you do live on a phone, right?
Correct.
You had to make just 2 collect calls. You cannot tell me sometime during that day you did not have that conversation with yourself of how the fuck did I do this to myself to put myself in West Palm Beach in a 6x9 cell with a metal fucking bed with a brown shirt that said trustee spelled wrong.
So did I find it amazing that I was there? That's a
Not amazing, and I don't want to say it was not funny. Oh, I thought it was
I wasn't funny.
Right.
But
Not amazing.
it was incredible.
Incredible in what way? Incredible, like how do I do this to myself?
No.
He'll never take responsibility for it. He's like, no, not for that. It was incredible. It was amazing.
Incredible as me sitting here in this house. They're both just 2 sides of the coin. That's how I think about it.
What? So Bannon's trying to ask him, you didn't feel any remorse. You had no reflection. You had no, self-awareness while you're in jail for these crimes against these little girls, and yet at the same time have all this power and influence and can immediately make a phone call from prison to the CEO of JP Morgan. You had no sense of self-reflection in any of this. And he's like, no, of course not.
That my life today is incredible.
Do you consider yourself a stoic?
No. I consider myself a hermit. Stoics are not very happy.
Being a hermit then, being in that 6x9 cell, being in the cell qua the cell was not the problem, right?
Correct.
What was the problem?
The eating the almond joy bars.
Because you couldn't eat the food.
No, right.
Earlier in the interview, Epstein talked about how he ate no food in prison because he thought they wanted to kill him, not for the crimes he committed, but because he was a rich white man. And so because he was rich, he thought they were going to try to poison him. And so the only thing, according to him, the only thing he ate in prison were these almond joy bars.
But remember, my life is.
Did that ever strike you that I can't eat the food because somebody might have done something to it? I gotta live off an almond joy bar, 1 a day or 2 a day or whatever. How many ever sneak in a day?
No sneaking in.
Your 1 almond joy bar, it did not hit you at some time? How the fuck did I do this?
No.
Let's go back to the spring of 2008.
Isn't that so creepy? The dude has like no conscience. There is no sense of guilt in this man. Yeah, Brady Harvey says he thinks his evil is necessary or something. It's incredible. I just went through for what, the last hour? Talking about all these atrocious things that he's done. I mean, we're talking about strangling girls, killing them, burying them, commanding that certain people be killed and murdered, covering up crimes with other people, financial crimes, sex crimes, money laundering crimes. He has zero self-reflection. Zero.
Were you so wrapped up in your personal issues at the time you were not spending enough time on the financial markets, or were you deeply involved in the financial markets like you normally were?
No, I was involved.
And you, so we're saying that the smartest guy in the room didn't see it coming.
No, of course
not. The
not.
bankruptcy of Bear Stearns, you just thought was a Bear Stearns problem. You didn't see it as systemic.
I know you keep harping on it, but it's not.
Because you're a mathematician and understands systems.
It
seems that anybody that understands that they had a systemic problem, you at least be the first on the early search radar if you're not going to see it, then I'm really afraid, because that means that I always assume there's at least a set of guys out there that have some sort of sense that something's not right.
Imagine the guy who has a stroke or had the heart attack. When you ask him, did you feel funny the day before? He's going to tell you, yeah, I didn't feel right. Something was off. I didn't feel right. I had my stomach was right. I felt a little dizzy. I felt a little weak. But if you asked him the day before, do you think you're going to have a heart attack tomorrow? He'd say, no, I just feel a little weak. I'm a little dizzy. My stomach hurts. So these systems, and that's the issue of complexity. What complexity says is that, in fact, everything seems to go along, and people have seen it. One of the great examples of complex systems is sand dunes. In fact, the sand keeps building up. People have seen some, and all of a sudden, one more sand drop, and all the sand starts running down the hills. That's the way I see the financial markets.
When you funded Santa Fe in the early 90s or late 80s?
I believe it was early 90s. I can get back to you.
But early 90s.
Santa Fe is the institute that Epstein created for basically, it's almost a think tank for mathematicians, physicists, scientists, looking, and he specifically chose New Mexico because it was next to Los Alamos, where the Manhattan Project and all that research was. So there was intellectual capital in that region. That's why he built his ranch there. And he talks about this in the interview, and that's what Bannon's asking him is like, okay, so when did you build this whole Santa Fe Institute?
Santa Fe was funded for the study of complexity theory.
So let's back up. So why did I buy a ranch in New Mexico in 1993? So that gives you some sense. So I would have funded it in 1990. Los Alamos, which was the high energy lab up in New Mexico, was losing all its scientists.
And Los Alamos, it was where Oppenheimer and where a lot of the nuclear weapons program, the bomb.
That's where the Manhattan Project.
Manhattan Project was as Los Alamos, and you bought your property out in New Mexico to be near that?
Yes, because the scientists were going to be, they cut the funding for high energy physics. But the people who worked in Los Alamos would still be in the Santa Fe area.
They cut that because this was the Cold War dividend, right?
I don't remember exactly why. It was because, again, people thought that physics and high energy physics really wasn't that important.
Because that was about nuclear weapons.
No, it was because they decided it was maybe not right. This was the same time that Murray Gell-Mann came up with the term quark, Q-U-A-R-K. He picked it out of an old poem, the word quark. But it was mysterious. So they were starting to understand in the 90s that our world of the physics world, there was things that were just unexplainable. They called it strange things. You gave it a name. You gave it some characteristics. You called it had charm, was one of the terms. It had a charm. It had a flavor. It had a color. But nobody really, no one, Mr. Bannon, understood what it was. Just like the financial system.
And you wanted to investigate that?
I wanted to see if we could build tools so others smarter than me could help investigate it.
And that was the beginning of your concept of the Santa Fe Institute?
Yes.
And Santa Fe Institute was founded to do study in this type of...
Can these areas of strange things be described by some form of mathematics?
So that's what I'm trying to get at. The foundational thought, the organizing principle of Santa Fe,
yes,
in the high physics lab at Los Alamos, right, which had been the headquarters of Manhattan, and the Trinity Project, right, the bomb.
Yes.
So you're talking about the elite, the high priest
of physics.
Of physics.
Yes, sir.
Which high priest of physics, some subset of that is also mathematics.
Yes, they're both similar.
Project out. One of the tools you want to do is to make sure that in this complex system, the finance system, I'm doing a lot of this for philanthropy and a lot for the good of mankind, but also to be able to understand this complex system, the most complex outside of maybe our body, of the financial world.
Yes.
Did they create tools, or were you smarter in than the mid-aughts, 15 years later, than you had been then because of work that was done at Santa Fe?
No, it was great. But in fact, most of the money, most of my philanthropy in the area of can you describe things that appear to be unexplainable by mathematics, and can you fund people who have new ideas? And unfortunately, when someone thinks they've been able to, there was a man, Stuart Kaufman, when they think that, okay, I figured out how to be able to predict the unpredictable, what appears to other people to be unpredictable. But my system, in those days it was called genetic algorithms, can predict what things will happen, and they all want to make money. So they use their systems to try to figure out, they know they have figured out the way to make money because they figured out the unexplainable. They try, they go bankrupt, and we start again. So with a cold view, what I've come to realize is that the attempt to mathematize, formularize, or what in your prior world, to understand what really is, in today's world, still unexplainable, is impossible. They're miracles.
And so the last thing then I want to move to, and then I'll finish up and I'll read any super chats that are left, is a section later in that interview. So you just listened to how Epstein was fascinated with utilizing mathematics to explain unexplainable phenomenon. And he was very much interested in quantum physics. This is why the Weinstein brothers, there's Brett and Eric. Eric's the physicist, and he talked about how he met Epstein in the math department at Harvard. And he said, I don't know why, but he knew all the elite physicists and mathematicians. Well, again, this interview reveals that Epstein was obsessed with getting these mathematicians to work on projects regarding unexplainable phenomenon. He believed that the economy itself was like an organism. And he kept using this metaphor, somebody mentioned it earlier, about complex systems, that the economy is less like a machine and more like a human body, that a human body is composed of millions of cells, and those cells then contain organelle and mitochondria and things within them. And so there's just multi-layered systems, and he's arguing that's what the economy is. So he has this weird, very mathematical, non-materialistic worldview. He's participating in debaucherous, evil conduct, sexual degeneracy, alleged human sacrifice, murder, stuff like this. And then I want to play this clip where he's discussing souls. And this is just a little excerpt. So just to give you the worldview of this guy. I remember he was mocking Madonna for asking the Jew, Larry King, how he phrased it, talking about Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism and stuff. But as we've already showed, the Jewish identity was central to Epstein. He truly believed in the Talmud's understanding of Jewish supremacy.
Wrote a very famous book about what is life. He was trying to figure out a way, can he describe the difference formulaically between things that are alive and things that are dead? The answer is no. The things that are alive in my world are miracles, not magic. Magic has a bad connotation.
We
trying
don't
to hide
believe
things.
you don't believe in the spirit or the soul. That's what animates people, is your spirit or your soul. But have you ever seen someone die? When they die, their spirit leaves.
Their soul leaves, no question. So
There's no question to you about
no
that.
question.
There's no question to you that there is some animating life force within us that leaves when you're dead.
Yes, in fact, I refer to the soul. There's obviously a certain the questions in the past, even though
people would normally think you were soulless. So
thank you.
But have you talk about you actually believe in it and have done some thinking about it is pretty shocking in its own right, isn't it?
Well, again, mathematics, Leibniz thought.
So Newton was at Cambridge, and he was the head of the math department, right? He's a professor, essentially.
Yes.
But Leibniz, was Leibniz a German professor?
Yes. But what Leibniz said is the soul is so strange because God took chemicals, which is simply the material, like tables, and he somehow made this material able to have a thought. How strange is that? Not only does it have a soul, but some way it was put together that this material substance is able to think. So when you say to me, it's obvious to everyone that there's such a thing as a soul.
Okay, 129.09. I want to see the rest of it because I saw a different section. I had one earlier.
Of the Charlatanville, you'll try to explain it to people. The soul I describe as the dark matter of the brain. Why is it dark matter? Because in high energy physics nowadays, you hear terms of dark matter, dark energy. Again, terminology, it's a complicated term. Why is it dark matter? Because we can't see it, that's all. What do you mean you can't see it? Well, somehow we see something moving towards this area of darkness. Something, I can see this thing. This appears to me to be empty. It's just black. But I see it being drawn this way. So I say, well, I know if this were matter, that would follow that equation. If this was solid, it would explain the way this particle moves. But I can't see anything here. So I'll just call it dark matter. And I'll say, I don't know what it is, but it behaves as if there was something there. The soul is obvious to everyone that there's something different between things that are alive and things that are not alive. But we have no idea what it is. It's currently unexplainable. I believe we need an entirely different system of analysis to try to figure out.
But
Sorry.
No, with Newton.
This is totally like a mathematical Kabbalism. This is like Kabbalistic thinking trying to be articulated through the framework of mathematics and physics. And it makes sense. It makes sense why Madonna talking about Kabbalah and not being ethnically Jewish but converting to Judaism would bother him. It would make sense why he was funding professors, researchers to such an extravagant amount, because he was driven by this really weird, again, it's like a demonic, we call it miracles. We don't call it magic. Magic has a bad connotation. Well, clearly he's interested in magic. Clearly that's what they're up to. Clearly this is a form of Kabbalistic Satanism. I mean, from a Christian perspective, it's all Satanism. Clearly that's what he's into. And that's what he's trying to get these mathematical equations and these use quantum physics to articulate this and express it through essentially his Jewish mystical framework. Makes you think, like, what were they willing to do in regards to sacrificing people? If everything's just this energy thing and he has like no conscience about it. It's like he views the spiritual life as mathematics.
With all his alchemical studies and things he worked on the spiritual side, Leibniz had just talked about the soul, Schroeder talked about what is life. If a modern scientist or someone that you funded at MIT or at Harvard or one of these things talked in those types of terms, they would be considered to be a wingnut today, wouldn't they? They would not be on the path for tenure, right?
Unless they were in the philosophy department.
This is exactly my point. We're talking about three of the greatest mathematicians in mankind's history that have really changed mankind. Talking like this, what happened? How do we get to a situation where they could not be in the high physics, they could not be in the mathematics department or working in high energy physics?
Good, it's an easy answer. Newton was a combination of mathematician or geometer then and philosopher. And as time went on, those disciplines seemed to move apart. We had philosophy, some of the philosophers can't do math, and some of the mathematicians. And again, mathematicians often break into two categories. People that solve problems, those are more like geometers in the old days, just problem solvers. And then there's thinkers, theoreticians. They're more like the old movement towards philosophy. But neither one of those two groups have been able to figure out why something is alive as opposed to something that's not alive. No one's been able to describe what the soul is, but we all know it exists. And I think what we need is science is a bad word. I think science only describes the things we already know about the physical world. In fact, there's an argument that the physical world that we see has been created out of our systems to be of mathematics. Mathematics, everyone knows mathematics describes the physical world much greater than it should, unless my view, the physical world really comes out of conscious beings that have mathematics. So they create it. This table appears to you and I to be solid. To a bat, because we have light that's bouncing off the table into our eyes, it appears solid. If instead of eyes that responded to wavelengths of visual light, our eyes responded to radio waves, the radio frequencies, it's not different, it's the same type of frequency as light, but different speeds, the table's invisible. We know that our phone works in this room. So the waves are coming through the windows, the waves are coming through the walls. So the walls are invisible to that type of radiation, that type of energy. The walls are, I can see them because my eyes, a physical system determines that the walls are there.
You, with Murray Geldman, you founded, or were the original donor, and had the idea of Santa Fe Institute. In 10 or 15 years later, that effort to study the complexity of systems mathematically.
Yes.
Was
it's a total failure. Yes.
A total failure.
Total failure.
Why is that?
It's the failure of science because, in fact, if to some extent science doesn't describe romance. I don't know why I'm attracted to somebody. I don't know. People are attracted to each other, and everyone has the same feeling. They've seen someone walk in the room, and they say, "Oh, that person gives me a creepy feeling." Science is trying to describe. Science doesn't describe what creepy feelings means. They just know it's a creepy feeling. I think women, as I said the last time, have an intuitive sense. What is intuitive? They have intuition, they have feelings, and they're able to deal in the realm of things that men, especially men like myself, find unexplainable. Women have intuition, men see things a bit differently. Men want to measure everything. Women are not really that interested in measuring.
In what you're saying in macro terms, you actually think science, mathematics, maybe ultimately technology is moving to that more intuitive?
I think science and math are old-fashioned. And unfortunately, people are still taught that they have to learn algebra in school and certain things in school, as opposed to learning to have an emotion.
Is this what Larry Summers was trying to get at? Maybe he didn't say it perfectly enough, but what he was trying to get to in that system, the systems we study today, the way mathematics is either taught or understood, that women just haven't gotten up to the highest realms of engineering or physics or mathematics because of that. And you're actually implying that there's either new branch of science, or we've hit an inflection point like in Newton that's going to go in Newton took mankind in a different direction because he was able to measure. Then you had subatomic, non-Newtonian physics later. Are you saying that you think there's another developing field that's coming up that may take us, I don't know how many decades to get our hands around, but that's what's evolving out of this?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I think that mathematics, it's not the end of science. Every year someone says it's the end of, we can't discover everything. There's lots to discover with relationship to the physical world, but we know a lot already. In respect to the unexplainable world, we almost know nothing. Women, again, sense it. And instead of Larry Summers, I won't digress too much, but Howard Gardner early on said, there's not one form of intelligence. It's not mathematical intelligence. There's emotional intelligence. There's kinesthetic intelligence. There's this argument that I reject that black people are less intelligent than white people. It's not true. We know, for example, that if I was in the forest and I had to run from the lion or figure out a way not to be eaten, and my competition is a local African, I'm the one who's getting eaten because they have the intelligence to deal with their local environment. So it's just different. It's not better, it's not worse, but there's many differences amongst different types of people. And so people have different intelligences, and they excel in some intelligences usually, and less so in others.
When did it come to, because the world of high finance is a world of pure reason, or is it a lot of emotion and gut checks and on trading desk and central banks when these decisions get made? Is it that high church, like the high church of science of high energy physics, or is it as much emotion that comes in as much as the mathematics and the reason?
It's a great question. I think if you talk to really experienced and successful traders, and you ask them how they know what's going on, they can't give you an answer. They don't know. They feel it. They can feel the way the market's moving. They can feel the way the stock's moving. And that these are not very well-defined terms. It's difficult to put in mathematics terms. How did I feel it? You could look back and make guesses what I was seeing. But great traders feel it and then act on their feelings. That's the difference. Many people feel it but are afraid because they want a mathematical justification before they take that next step.
When you first got on the trading desk at Bear Stearns in the late 70s or mid 70s, were you shocked by how little actual understanding of mathematics that the traders comprehended?
Yeah, well, again, we had a Texas Instrument calculator. Most stockbrokers, especially before 1975, if they were good stockbrokers, could add. That's about it. They could multiply. If you could multiply, you were already in the top 15% of stockbrokers. Stockbrokers simply meant there's a story. When I went to the first person, I had no money, and I said, "How much money do you make a year?" And he said, $400,000. I said, "Impossible. I'm making $10,000."
That's probably more than your family had made in its entire existence.
Yes. And he makes that in a year. I said, "What do you do?" And he said, "It's too complicated for you to understand," which is what the main thrust of Wall Street people, they want to tell you it's too complicated. Because if you understood that person was simply, he had a brother-in-law, in fact, in this case, who ran the pension fund at General Motors. His brother-in-law would call him and say, "Buy 1,000 IBM. He'd hang up the phone, he'd write it out on a ticket and walk it to a window. That was his entire skill set. Hello, write what my brother-in-law says, walk it to a ticket window.
Give me an example when you were on the trading desk in the early days of Bear Stearns of a time that you felt either complete uncertainty or you saw total panic, where something was happening that people couldn't foretell and that they were like in an airplane cockpit where it's going wrong. Walk us through that.
In 1978, I think it was, across the news wires, there had been a collapse of the currency in Thailand. On the other side of the world, had no relationship to me. I wasn't sure where Thailand was. But the fact that a currency, a country's money, had all of a sudden dropped tremendously in value, affected the rest of the world's markets. And people panicked because they'd never seen that before. A very small part of a very complex system had a shock throughout the whole system. So prices on Park Avenue apartments, the bond markets, the stock markets, every started to gyrate. You know, there's an old mathematics expression that if a butterfly wings in Mexico make the wrong turn, it spins out, and eventually, by the time it gets to Canada, it turns into a tornado.
Not exactly. It has to do with the butterfly effect and talking about how a butterfly's flaps could cause a tsunami. Or a hurricane. But nice try there, Jeffrey Epstein. So pretty interesting little insight into the mind of Epstein and how it worked. Like, this guy was clearly, despite what anybody says, he wasn't working for Putin. Clearly had a Jewish supremacist identity. We played a video of him talking to Ehud Barak, a former prime minister of Israel and one-time leader of their intelligence agencies, introducing him to Palantir, describing that he'll be meeting Peter Thiel in the very near future. in his obsession with founding the Santa Fe Institute, of getting like these mathematicians and physicists together to study unexplainable phenomena and trying to document the physical world through mathematics. It's like he's trying to use math to articulate his Kabbalistic worldview. He has no remorse, like no self-reflection about any of the stuff that he was actually caught for in Southern Florida. No matter how many times Ben pressed him on it, it had to have been, if you watch the whole interview, he probably pressed him on that one issue of being in the jail cell and the 2008 financial collapse happening. And like you had no self-reflection. There was no thought at any point about how did I get here or what wrong decision I made. Never does Epstein take responsibility for anything that he possibly could have done that was wrong. I mean, clearly this guy was a narcissist and just kind of lived in his own fairy tale world. But it's amazing how much money and opulence he had, and he was literally funding what the average Joe believes to be the highest echelon of mathematics, physics, science, institutions, money. I mean, the amount of influence this guy had is incredible. The fact that he can dial a call to the CEO of JP Morgan while in jail, and he'll pick up and pay for the call and knows, oh, this is Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, I got to talk to him about the collapse of Lehman Brothers. And the stuff that's coming out about Trump, you know, it's not entirely shocking. So anyways, if anybody wants to watch more of that, we're at the 1 hour and 41 minute mark of the interview. Just go to it. It's all over YouTube. It's on X. It's on YouTube. It's all on all the social media platforms. Just put in Steve Bannon, Jeffrey Epstein. It's like 1 hour and 57 minutes. Pretty interesting insight to the way that Epstein thought and operated. DC Heat just became a Kodo Crew member. Thank you so much, DC Heat. God bless you, my man. Byzantium Reborn throws in $2, says, God bless from Alberta. God bless you, man. It sounds like Alberta's getting ready to leave Canada. God bless you guys. Oink Oink, says Alex, for $5. Thank you very much, brother. And over on the Dono chat, Assyrian King throws in 5, says, I believe in Bitcoin. It was just a friend who sent a fake email that Epstein claimed to have created Bitcoin. I knew it was BS. God bless you and Jay. Well, thank you very much, Assyrian King. God bless you, brother. And over on the Streamlabs, Matt Scroggin, shout out to Matt. He was in our meeting last night, our men's meeting, talking about finance. Matt throws in $3 and says, is the Americanist media conglomeration about to fully collapse? Or is the public just going to shrug off satanic PDF stuff? It seems like we're coming to some type of precipice here, some type of crux of believability. I mean, the CBS attempt to rehabilitate their identity with Barry Weiss has absolutely, totally failed, which I love. Nobody's buying the CBS bullshit. And then ABC, I don't know if you saw, but they're getting sued because they claim that ICE arrested a 5-year-old boy when really what happened is they arrested his dad. His dad fled. They eventually caught him. They arrested him, and nobody was there to watch the boy. And so they ended up taking him and putting him in a shelter and giving him food and everything because there's nobody to watch the little boy. And ABC just totally lied about it and said that they're arresting 5-year-old kids now. And I think the head coach of the Warriors, the Golden State Warriors in the Bay Area, Steve Kerr, said the exact same thing. So, I mean, it seems like that's where I get all my news. X is really the place to get news. Like independent journalists, people that are doing day-to-day stuff, they're able to post, get things out. I just think, in a way, the media is just being revamped where people can actually be held accountable. And if people find you trustworthy, you'll get a following, and you can then make real money being a journalist, which I think is fantastic, as opposed to the institutional structure that's set up now where it has nothing to do with being a real journalist. It has to do with make sure you read the teleprompter. So thank you so much, Matt. Veronica throws in 5, says, congratulations. Exciting things ahead for you and your channel. All glory to God. Thank you very much, Veronica. And it's true. It all is glory to God. Anonymous throws in $10 and says, congratulations. Thank you very much, Anonymous super chatter out there. And Jack throws in 5, says, I wonder if Jeffrey Epstein ever met up with Diddy. I imagine that they probably met at some point. I do. I have very little belief that Diddy and Epstein never crossed paths. They may have had the same contact in the federal government. Who knows? So Cato Craft throws in 10. I know this guy. Thank you so much, brother, for the support. God bless you and the family. I hope you guys are doing well. FYI, we have a meeting tomorrow night. Don't forget, we'll be doing chapter 5 of the Orthodox Survival Course. So I hope you can make it, brother. But thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I do appreciate it. And guys, that's going to do it for me. I just got to give a major thank you again to all the super chatters and the generous support you guys gave today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The next stream, so tomorrow night I have the Orthodox Survival Course. Thursday night, I'll be doing the sponsored stream from you guys. Do you remember last week, a few streams ago, you guys were able to hit the super chat goal and choose a sponsored stream. So we'll be doing a stream on Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, and I'll include a whole section on Rasputin, which is what you guys requested. So that's going to be Thursday evening. So probably Thursday at 5 o'clock or 5:30. So I'm going to be prepping in the meantime for that stream. Oh, Jay just said something. What was Jay said, Jeff Steen's public comments about race and IQ were opposite his private. Well, clearly, I mean, he was clearly a Jewish supremacist. Like he was aware of the bell curve. He was aware of the bell curve for sure. Octavian says, awesome stream, bro. Thank you very much, Octavian. God bless you. And like I said, tomorrow night is the Orthodox Survival Course. And then Thursday night, we'll be diving into the life, the legacy, and also the failures of Tsar Nicholas II. And we'll be talking about Rasputin. Was he a saint or a madman? So thank you guys all so much. Smash that like. And I will see you guys Thursday night. Unless you're in the Logos Academy, I'll see you tomorrow night. So as always, until then, God bless.